Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and envies, we're pogging here at Fallapalooza because we're into the third place and finals matches. Joining me on the microphone right now is not Neon Caster, as the name might suggest on stream, but your lordship.
Oh, not a lord, not a lord, just the mayor, just the mayor. How
Just,
you doing,
just the mayor.
Dangers?
I'm good. I'm good. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you in the booth with me for this here Fallapalooza 3. How are you feeling?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to cast, and I'm excited. I've been watching the whole thing, glued to the edge of my seat. I'm so excited. It's so exciting always. We were talking about it a little bit during the break, but it's always so exciting to see these new faces every time. It feels like every tournament recently has had somebody new in the finals, and I think that's so healthy for the scene. So I'm really excited to see what these teams can do.
Me too. And I can't wait to pick your brain about what it means to be a competitive player in this position. We already have the match going live right now. So we're going to go ahead and cut over to that as soon as we can here. First race is already done. We can imagine that all of our players are qualifying here. But look at this third place matchup, the Wolfgang and the Has-Beens. I already talked to Neon about it a little bit, but these are not the faces that I would have expected to see in the finals, with the exception of maybe Puffly Jig. Puffly Jig's been in this position before, but with such a diversity of Fall Guys competitive players, you just really never know what to expect when it gets down to the wire like this.
Absolutely. It's really nice to see folks like Paleo and Stratosphere because these guys, like you mentioned before the break, Stratosphere, very heavy into the King of Zones stuff. I know Paleo does a few things here and there as well. So it's really nice to see them really break through on a bigger tournament with stiffer competition, and they're absolutely slaying. I can't believe, it's really inspiring to watch them. Um, and just seeing these new faces in the tournament in sort of this late into the tournament is really incredible.
I agree. I agree. I'm super happy that they're able to make a name for themselves as well. Wolfgang has been a very strong and kind of dominant force in Fallapaloozas of the past, finally able to make a break into not just the second day, but also into our third place matchup here. And think of the journey that they took to get here as well has been phenomenal. When you look at the matchup that they had against in the quarterfinals against Drew Crew and Lustrous, Drew Crew and Lustrous go up a double crown. The Wolfgang says, no way, we're going to fight back. We're going to beat you by 35 kudos to take that semifinal spot. Like, these guys are strong competitors.
Absolutely. And before that, even before that match, their second match of the tournament was against Muchas Muchas Gracias, the #1 seed in the tournament. Clearly, one of the better teams, at least by crown count. And Mr. Carrero and Idarek, very, very strong players. Mr. Carrero, one of the early legends of the game. I think he's very decorated as far as EU players go. I'm pretty sure he's won at least one, maybe two Twitch rivals. Somebody
Back
can
to
fact
back,
check
they
me on
say.
that.
Yeah.
Back to back, yeah. The Spanish legend, the pride of Spain himself. And Idarek's no slouch either. Well over 1,000 crowns himself. And it's to take those guys out that's a real feather in your cap in head-to-head play for sure.
Absolutely. And, to no discredit the has-beens on the other side, definitely not just the has-beens. Trip Hop, 2,700 crowns to his name, plus now Puffly Jig has been in these tournament positions before with Wraith in the past. He's very comfortable in this third place matchup. Can he pull out the win this time, do you think, with Trip Hop on his side?
It's definitely going to come down to the wire in this match. I think that Wolfgang's just been playing too hot though. Like having to crush through the side of the bracket. Like Has-Beens, obviously, like you said, best name in the tournament, by the way, best team name, but also no slouches as far as like they had to beat two peas in a pod. No commentator bias there. That's just one of the strongest teams out of the opening day. Virtuous Visitors as well, another phenomenal team, and unfortunately falling to Positive Vibes, who again, absolutely insane duo of players in Freshie and Nightwalker as well. So I mean, it's not like they've had an easy road to get here either. But Wolfgang has just beaten so many teams so convincingly that I can't vote against Wolfgang at this point. I don't think.
Yep. No commentator bias in the booth, but just going by the history, going by the history. Only time will tell. Reminder to everybody at home, the third place match and the finals match are going to be a best of 5 series rather than a best of 3. So even if one team does get out to a dominating lead in the first 3 episodes, it's nothing that can't be overcome with 2 extras tacked onto the end. And we saw that in the Fallapalooza finals of the past with such a big commanding lead in the finals for Team Gas. Z-Gas comes in behind them and very nearly closes the gap. So that those 5 episodes really makes a difference.
Yeah, I think in the kudos format especially, which is I know for most competitive players is the preferred format, just and it works so well for 2v2. It's definitely an interesting thing for the longer sets, like 5, 6, 7 game sets where you actually have time. Wolfgang did do it in their last best of 3 where they sort of clawed back after a double crown. They managed to claw back not only 2 wins but multiple races as we see a couple snowballs getting in the way here on Freezy Peak. These competitors pretty you shouldn't expect to see any problems here, but as I say that, of course, we're seeing a couple wolves tumbling to their doom here.
Yep. If you get stuck in the back of the pack at any point during these freezy peaks, you kind of get mingled in with the beans and you try to go for those jumps on the fans, and that's when problems start arising. And it doesn't look like any of our players actually have an advantage here. The gold medal is probably going to go to an NPC.
Yeah, it looked like it. Oh, nice grief by Paleo. It looked like I think Trip Hop and Puffly both kind of got off to a rocky starts here. As yes, you're absolutely right. There is a NPC in the lobby, absolutely smurfing. But 17 qualifier, it's not gonna be too scary for any of these competitors, I don't think.
And before we start counting kudos, it's a little too early in the matchup to really, you know, take these kudos into consideration. They obviously still really matter. I think 1 bronze, 1 silver going to each team, but in the early stages, you want to set yourself ahead. You want to try and get those crowns. So it's just about qualifying, getting to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've often talked about it in the comp scene, behind the scenes sort of thing, but especially in 3 game sets, less so in 5 game sets, but it still obviously matters. That first game is like the tone setter. If you can come out of that with a double crown or even just a normal crown, you're really feeling good. You feel like you've got a lot of room. But snowball survival, dangers. This is a scary map for tournament setting, especially squads tournaments. But at 2v2, it's terrifying.
Oh, I agree. And I always try and make a comment whenever we have a new season or a new game or something like that. Fallapalooza is, the one of the only duos tournament going on for competitive Fall Guys. So do you think that these players kind of look at these games and they test out different theories, or do they kind of just go in and hope for the best and try and survive? Because I think it's the teams that go out of their way to make the strategies to kind of grief their opponents off in these really tumultuous survival games that come out on top, and we saw it a couple times in the first day especially.
Oh my goodness, as we see
Oh,
Paleo smacked.
and
He's
Trip goes
actually
off
just
the
getting
other side.
trips on the other side. Oh, that's scary. And this is this map. And I think to your point, a lot of the competitors who find success are the ones who generally are doing that sort of theory crafting where they're trying to figure out the best strategies. They're trying to figure out what works for them, what they can use in backups and as a backup strategy and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised, Dangers. We were talking about this a little bit in a 2v2 setting or even a solo squads tournament like the Trip or a Fall Mania style tournament. I would not be surprised if we saw somebody being incredibly aggro and just breaking all the ice on the off chance that it leads to one of their competitors' demise. But I don't think we're quite there yet with the confidence.
Yeah, and I think you have to plan these strategies intelligently, because you can have that theory of just like, well, if you break all the ice tiles, then somebody can fall in them. But that somebody could be you. If you're not paying attention to those snowballs, suddenly you're the one who's diving into the slime as a result of your plan kind of backfiring. So obviously still in the works. This is the newest game in Fall Guys, but with season 4 coming, we're going to have even more to add into the fray with strategies. I'm super excited about that from what I've seen.
Oh, the leaks have been absolutely insane. I'm really enjoying. Looks like they put a lot of effort into revamping, adding new maps, even completely changing the aesthetic of the game. They turned it on dark mode. It looks really exciting. But as we get into this thin ice here, it is a 2v1. Puffly Jig going to have his hands full here. We have seen a couple 2v1s, or 1v2s, I should say, successfully clutched out by people in tournaments, in this tournament over the last couple of days. But it's going to be fun to see where these competitors take their strategies. It's Puffly immediately going on the aggressive. I kind of like this. I kind of like getting in the face of my opponents, letting them know, like, hey, I'm not just here to, I'm not just here to let you push me around. I'm going to try and dictate the pace of play myself.
You would think that the Wolfgang would be the ones trying to just eliminate Puffly Jig so they can focus against the NPCs, but the fact that he's pushing back is a good sign. And if you're Trip Hop, you kind of got to breathe a sigh of relief. They went down in that last snowball survival, but then it went straight to a final. So the kudos disadvantage isn't going to be huge as long as Puffly Jig can hold on and keep the crown away from Wolfgang.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, NPC winning this is a completely acceptable outcome, I would say, for the has-beens. But I think griefing on thin ice, it's a bit of a slippery slope, pun intended, where sometimes it can really come back to bite you. But if you're very good, we've seen concerted griefing attempts in the past, and sometimes they end up backfiring where, one person just tunnel visioning way too hard and not giving themselves enough space. And Polito's got a nice little island here, but he's got to start worrying that he's limiting his options over here. He wants to be where this on the right side of his screen, as we see Stratosphere sort of moving on, sort of surveying his options. I like that he's keeping his camera moving. I don't think that anybody's with Puffly but Puffly kind of isolated himself in the middle of the map. Really nice cutoff there from Polio. This should secure the win for him, I think. Really nicely done there. Keeping his camera moving, just aware of where everybody is, and excellently played first round from Polio.
You're right. Polio kind of was on a small island by himself. He saw that most of the competitors were in that giant island on the one side, and Puffly Jig was among them. Stratosphere was among them as well, eating up the tiles, but it was just Polio by himself. The Wolfgang is going to take the first crown of this matchup.
And Polio played that to perfection. He was sitting there surveying, sort of taking notes of what everybody was doing, just like you're saying. And he noticed at the end he's got a little opportunity. He makes a nice little 2-hexagon cutoff, and all of a sudden he's got the 6-7 tiles that he needs to secure that victory. So game one, the pace setter, going to the Wolfgang.
That's right. If we've learned anything about Fallapalooza, especially today, that one episode doesn't determine anything at all. Crowds have been traded back and forth. The lead has been traded back and forth. Who comes out on top has been decided sometimes in the last few seconds of every single matchup. So, it's not over for the has-beens, despite a kind of rocky start here in the third match.
Oh, of course, yes. And especially in a longer set. We've seen only 3-game sets so far, but in a longer set, definitely plenty of opportunity to come back. You can even chip away, even if they don't win. 4 games is, even if an NPC wins the next 4 games, it's still enough time. You get enough races in there, you can really chip away at that 735 kudos advantage that they'll have built for themselves. I believe the medals went fairly even the first round. It'll be interesting to see when the scores come up of who exactly is ahead of who by how much. Of course, we know that the Wolfgang is going to be ahead by at least 735, or roughly 735, because that's how much a crown is worth. But did they add any medals on top of that? Can they keep building that lead? Like, what can they do? And it's really important to count kudos as competitors so you can formulate these strategies. As we see, they're ahead by roughly 2 extra medals on top of their kudos. There's a survival round in there that messes with the count, but they're ahead by 735 plus 80.
Yep. So, a crown and then some that the has-beens have to come in, and obviously Trip Hop getting eliminated in that survival game that you just talked about. So the kind of trailing member of these 4 players right now with 370 kudos going against a very strong Stratosphere, 510 kudos. Polio grabbing that crown, obviously. So it's far from over. Like we said, 5 rounds really gives the players the opportunity to sway things back and forth a couple of times. But, if you're the Wolfgang, you're sitting pretty. And you've been in these situations in tournaments before where, just about any situation in a tournament before. What goes through the Wolfgang's heads when they have an early lead like that? How do you play? What is it? What is your play style change to in a situation like that?
I think the tendency for most teams is to sort of play a little bit more conservatively and just try not to make any major mistakes. I don't always think that's the best strategy, because a lot of the time, your opponents are going to seize on that, especially seasoned competitors like Puffly and Trip Hop, right? So they're going to, if they see any weakness, if they see any passiveness, whatever the word is, if they see any sort of that passive play style, they might be able to attack it in a way that completely neutralizes your lead. So I think you still want to keep your foot down, just like, Trip Hop and Puffly and the has-been duo have a chance to come back in this match still, like, very easily. I think you could really, really push ahead if you're if you're a Wolfgang here, and try and really cement your lead. And then all of a sudden, if you have roughly a 2-game lead, and you're going with 3 games left, that's pretty big. So it might be worth for them to keep the pedal to the metal.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. Yeah, I don't think that it's really that wise to kind of sit on your heels for any reason. Don't get comfortable. Fall Guys is not about being comfortable. We've seen it time and time again. As soon as one team kind of expects to just kind of play their game in a passive way or in a normal way, the other team can take advantage of that and surprise them, right? And it happens all the time through Fallapalooza. So got to be on your guard, Wolfpack. They've been in the position to have to fight back from behind, but it'll be interesting to see how they deal with being ahead now instead.
Yeah, and I think when you're ahead like this, you sort of have to project, especially if like you're saying, they have been behind in the tournament. They've had to come from behind. I think it's important for them to remember that feeling and try and remember what they would have done in that situation, what openings they were looking for, so that they don't provide those same openings to their opponents here.
Yeah. Don't let your opponent be the determining factor of the reactions and things that you have to do, right? Put yourself in the power seat and always be making the decisions, because then the episode will go your way.
Exactly. It's a little bit, some people feel a little bit more comfortable as we get into the second game here. After the first race, wait a minute, we lost, that must have been a DoorDash. We've lost Trip Hop in the first game.
We already miss out on that first episode. Did Trip Hop already go down?
It seems like, and a Jinx. Okay,
Oh.
actually, if you're Puffly Jig, this is exactly what you want to see second round. You want to see, especially with the fan variant. This is, that's scary, man. It must have been a DoorDash, I can only assume. That is terrifying. So we are going to see these team members just try and do their best here. Of course, Puffly Jig playing this one out. He would theoretically like to lose this as best he could to mitigate the damage, because if you go a whole game, you know, and just having your dead player basically being farmed for kudos, that's like a 300-400 kudos advantage right there at least. So even if they don't win, so it's going to be, it's scary. If you're Puffly Jig, the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You're feeling like Atlas right now, trying to shrug that off.
Yeah, Trip does appear to be in the match, though. Maybe we're just having a difficulty getting his feet up or something.
Okay.
So he is in this Jinxed, but still, again, this is a team game. The way that we conduct team games is that you're supposed to play in good faith. I think that this is just a unanimously good decision for any of these head-to-head competitions. You know, you give too much power to the team that gets the advantage early if you allow them to throw the team games.
Yeah, being able to throw team games, definitely. At first, I was a major proponent of the AFK rule, but seeing it in practice, we have all the competitors in the scene do play in good faith, so it's very nice. We don't have to worry about anything like that. I'm glad that Trip didn't get eliminated round one. Unfortunate that we don't have his feet at the moment, but I'm sure we will get that back. As we see here, it looks like Yellow is trailing, which is good news for us. One left, and we qual here. I don't know exactly how many they have. What do they have? 3 left, roughly? That's pretty nice.
Puffly Jig was among them, so yep, this is looking good for everybody. I don't think anybody really likes to, you know, there's no real detriment or benefit to going out on a Jinx. It kind of is just like a punch in the face almost to everybody. You just kind of have to like shake it off and be like, okay, well, there goes that episode. Now we just have to make it up in the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're losing, you're obviously like, well, there's one less chance to really, you know, we missed our one shot to blow, but at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And at least in this case, it doesn't really make a difference as we move on to the jump club here. There are fruit cannons, only 1 bar, but there are fruit cannons. Fruit cannons definitely have claimed my life in tournaments before, so hopefully we don't see that here from anybody. But do you think that any of the competitors get a little cheeky and try and take somebody out here?
Oh, I would love to see it. You know, I would love to see it. We're talking about, you know, dominating the performance and like catching your opponent off guard and making the decisions. This is the kind of game where you can make those decisions.
Absolutely. This is one of the only games where you have this much direct agency over actually being able to take somebody out of the game. As we see Puffly Jig making the rounds, he's right next to a wolf. There's 2 wolves right next to him. You got to be feeling pretty scared if you're him. Hopefully we can see some action here. It would be really nice to watch, to see one of the has-beens really take it upon themselves to claw back into the game in a dramatic fashion like this, but looks like everybody's going to play it safe. There's a lot of safe play that goes on in the 2v2 tournaments, especially early in sets. And I wonder how long it's going to be before we start seeing a little bit more aggression early on. There's going to be any teams who really make their mark by not only taking these early leads, but cementing them through aggressive play, as it seems like all 4 competitors are still in the lobby.
Yep, I see Trip is kind of getting involved with the Wolfgang a little bit here, but everybody's going to be surviving by the looks of it.
Yep. No, I saw an attempted grief by, I believe, Stratosphere tried to grief Puffly, but nothing doing there. And we're all moving on to the next round here.
12 remain, actually. 12 remain. 4 of them are our competitors. We're trying to get Trip Hop's attention here so that he can get his perspective back on the screen. So just bear with us there. All right, we got him.
And we're getting snowy scrap. I wonder if if you're the has-beens, if you're in the position that the has-beens are dangerous, you're in a 2v2 tournament, you're down by a game. Would you rather see a fall ball here to get the lobby down to 6, or would you rather keep it a little bit more ambiguous and maybe 8-player hexagon? You got a few more NPCs to get in the way.
That's a good question. I think I'm always of the mind that the more that's in my control, the better. But sometimes NPCs you can kind of use as building blocks for certain things. So, like, if you go into a final with a jump showdown and you're behind, then you can kind of use the NPCs to, create barriers. Or if you're in a thin ice, you can use the NPCs to kind of poke the holes in the stage and, dictate the course of action there. So I think sometimes when you're down, more NPCs can be better. So this might be the situation that the has-beens can use to their advantage, because the Wolfgang, with less NPCs, maybe has more control over the situation.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And NPCs are a fickle beast. Sometimes you get ones that you get the one NPC in the entire server who knows how to take the Yeetus on Fall Mountain, and sometimes you get the one who dies 30 seconds into a roll-off. So it really does depend on the luck of the draw there, and you are leaving it up to chance. We see very effective griefing here. Yellow team is quite demoralized, as we've got Trip Hop and Stratosphere both on the ball, both on Yellow's ball. Yellow's not having a good time.
Yep.
Asking themselves why they had to be spawned in on Yellow team, but
For the folks at home, I would say the easiest way to get past these team games is to consider it not a winning battle, but a not losing battle. You pick a team in these three-way team game situations that gets off to an early disadvantage, and you just kind of bully them. One team has to lose, and it's just make sure it's not you.
Exactly. So we've got the qualification coming through. Now, will we see an in-tournament timeout here? Looks like Blue's got a pretty healthy lead. Oh, maybe not even. They're fairly close, it looks like. That is a little sad to watch, but hopefully we'll see some... Oh, my goodness. Are we going to see a timeout in Tournament Dangers? This is the high-hitting high-octane content, hard-hitting.
Nothing gets my heart pounding more than two NPC squads of 4 rolling snowballs around for 2.5 minutes, I tell you.
It is the most exciting. And this is sort of one of the issues with this map that a lot of people have, right, is blue team needs to be pushing the ball in a direction and grabbing the chicken, but they're all trying to push the ball. So what ends up happening is you end up getting stuck in this perma-grief thing where the chicken's just running around to the other side of the ball every time and sort of door wedging it, right? But nobody's grabbing him. There we go. Somebody grabbed him, but they full popped him. So this chicken is MVP griefer right now.
It honestly is kind of crazy how influenced this game can be by just one person griefing and knowing what they're doing. And as long as the other team doesn't respond to it, they're pretty much toast.
Yeah, especially in low population lobbies like this, only 4 players per team. You put one guy on the ball, it's hard for 4 people to get that person off the ball. So we're going into 7-person final. So somebody on yellow also must have rage quit right at the beginning of the round as they were getting hard griefed. That's actually a strategy that some folks in the scene have been working on, where something like egg scramble or roll snowy scrap like that, you intentionally hard grief a team and try and make their players leave, and then you let them win and grief the other team. And it's such an interesting thing. So we've got a 7-player roll off here.
So kind of the middle ground between a perfect 8-person final and the fall ball situation you were talking about earlier. There's only 3 NPCs to really get in the way. This is our first roll off, I believe, of the day, which is fascinating. I do love this final in competitive formats.
I definitely think it's a little bit more consistent now that they slowed it down. I know a lot of people were saying it made it less skill-based, but after watching and receiving many slingshots across the entire map on the super fast variant, it is kind of nice that they slowed it down a bit for the motion sick people in the community, and it also makes it a little bit more consistent, although you can still do some pretty cheesy things. Have you heard about the slam a guy into the wall as hard as you can tech?
Slam the guy as hard as wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, so if the new strat is, if once the roller gets to its maximum speed about a minute and a half in, if you grab a guy and you full pop him into a wall, it knocks him over.
Oh.
So then he just gets buried by the wall. Really cheese. Yeah, it's really cheese.
Learning strats live here with Spark City. We're going to see some of that action in Fallapalooza 4. Maybe some of these guys adopting it. Let's see. Let's have a look.
I did see Ryan Bushman doing it in tournament, I think, yesterday at some point. Oh, Puffly Jig almost gets the patented cross Elastigirl arms. We are seeing a lot of aggression right away. No NPCs have died either, so that's also a little unnerving. because you still have to contend with them even if you kill your 2 opponents, and these NPCs looking like they're coming out to game. So
Nobody's in the slime yet. Yeah, we're seeing some of those like cross-platform grabs. They can be really dangerous because you're just expecting to have this straight line across to a safe area, and then you just get kind of caught up by something invisible. You have to be careful of that desync. You have to be knowledgeable that, you know, you have to kind of gauge how far away they are and take that into account.
yeah, you almost are playing like, objects in mirror are closer than they appear kind of mode, where
Absolutely.
you're like, this guy is nowhere close to me, but I know that he can stretch his arms me and sort of give me a little tug, so I have to be careful. I'm not trying to cross over any gaps while he's able to do that. But it's terrifying. It's hard to play, and it's visually a little bit confusing, I would imagine, to newer players to have to sort of calculate this. We've lost a couple now.
2 people in the slime. One of them being Stratosphere. By the looks of it, it's a 2v1 for the has-beens.
This is where you can just go absolutely crazy. Somebody can go for a suicide grab where they take you into the slime with them. It's pretty terrifying. If you're in Palio's shoes, he's going for the aggression, though. Again, I like that. I like that he's not just saying, like, I'm going to run away from you. He's being forced into a lot of things. He's out, too, but Trip's out. Oh, Puffly. Wait, did Trip get it?
Eliminated. Trip Hop.
Oh, my goodness. Wait a minute.
Winner of the episode.
What a photo finish.
Everybody just hits the slime all at the same time. Trip Hop, who we didn't even think was in the episode at the beginning, coming out with the crown now.
The dark horse. That was a crazy ending. I was trying to juggle between all the slight different delays on everybody's perspectives, and it looked like Trip managed to snag it there with his last dive. I think he was on his way into the slime, so fortunate there. But there we go. Like we said, immediate reestablishment of tone. And after 2 games, now it's going to be very close, but it's essentially a 3-game series now.
Yep, exactly. Put it right back to square one. We've been seeing this all day long. One team comes out of the gate with a crown. The other one says, no, sir, hits him back with a crown, and it comes down to the episode 3. Now, the difference here being we have 2 extra episodes on top of that. So, yeah. I'm not surprised by this start.
Me either. I would definitely say that both these teams seem fairly evenly matched. I mean, they ended up at the same point in the tournament, so that's kind of a forehead statement, but definitely 100 IQ there for me. But yeah, I think it's it's fun commentating because it's all the excitement of competing with none of the stress. I get to sit here and I get to watch these incredible players play the game to a high level, and I don't have to worry about losing. So it's pretty nice.
Exactly.
But, and as a spectator, I would say it's probably the same thing. I mean, I know as a spectator when my friends are playing, I get, that sympathy nerves, but it's definitely nowhere near the same as when you're competing. So, I mean, all these players under a tremendous amount of stress. So even to get to as far as they have in the day, even though these folks are playing for a consolation 3rd, 4th place, it's still, you're still in the money, number 1, and number 2, still an incredible accomplishment.
Absolutely. Showcase what you got while you're here. And 3rd place is no laughing matter at all as we take a look over at the scorecard and just see how tight these scores are together, folks.
That is 2 medals. 70 kudos is 2 race medals. So this is where we're talking about, even after 2 games, even after 1 crown going apiece, if the set ended right now, Wolfgang would be in the lead. And, as we've been seeing, has-beens have been pretty dominant, especially Trip Hop's been pretty dominant in the races recently and most of today. So it's a little bit surprising, but Wolfgang with Palio and Stratosphere really coming to play on the race map, showing that every single map matters. You can't just sit back and wait for crowns all the time because the crown's not guaranteed. So fingers crossed that we can continue to see more high-octane, hard-hitting gameplay.
Gonna have to agree with you there for sure. Let's take a look at the has-beens here. Our 2nd seed in the entire tournament with a grand total of just over 3,600 kudos, or sorry, 3,600 crowns. Trip Hop, one of our strongest competitors in this entire tournament.
Absolutely. He's been in the scene for a long time. I've been in plenty of tournaments where he's been competing, and I don't think I've ever played against him personally. Maybe I have, I'm not entirely sure, but plenty of crowns. It's his aggregate between his PS4 and PC accounts is absolutely staggering number. So, and of course Puffly Jig, I mean, like several hundred crowns. I think we're at the point where, if you have 926 crowns or if you have 1,300 crowns, the difference isn't as huge as it seems in terms of skill level. I think that the game is old enough now to where we're at the point where anywhere within, I would say, probably 400 or 500, once you get to that point, is pretty much similar skill level. Obviously, if you have 0 crowns, you're not as good as somebody with 400, but when you get up to this level of crowns where you're almost hitting quadruple digits, it's a little bit more negligible.
5-game series, by the way.
Absolutely.
5-game series.
Yeah, I do kind of say that about the Fall Guys scene just in general. You know, the number of crowns that you're sitting on is kind of just like a collection, like a mountain, like a dragon sitting over his treasure pool. At the end of the day, when it comes to tournaments and stuff, what really matters is your execution in your reactions and the way that you deal with your opponents and your individual circumstances. The crown count only really goes up to like a certain kind of saturation point. The rest of it is the way that you deal with situations.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's definitely a certain baseline, and the baseline is getting higher as the game gets older because obviously more crowns are available to be won. But you know, exactly like you're saying, at some point it doesn't really make a difference as we see. Guess who's back? Is that weird bitter superhero? I would put my down payment on my house that I don't have on a bet that says that that is the same guy who was griefing in the last round. It's remarkable. I don't really understand why people would waste this much time, but as he gets blasted on the finish line, that's Mediatonic stream sniping him back a little bit there, but it looks like all of our competitors are getting in no problem. I believe we saw Polio or Stratosphere up front getting the gold medal there, so that's big. As the round comes to an end, and we'll be able to see all the competitors' medals stack up.
I think you're right. I think I saw Polio out being the front runner here. Doesn't look like they pulled away the gold medal. Maybe it was Stratosphere. I guess we'll see in just a moment. Oh no, silver medals across the board. So I guess one of the NPCs must have squeaked in front of Polio there. So yeah, no gold medals, just kind of even scores across the board as we move into the next episode. And yeah, if you're the Wolfgang, you got to be thinking about that lead a little bit, and you got to be thinking about how can we extend that a little bit without the crowns. Keep winning those races.
Absolutely. I was going to say 42 prime number for a second jinx. I think you're more than happy to take that jinx if you're Wolfgang, because again, if you can just delete games, I mean, obviously it could come back to bite you, but if you're in the lead, if you get 3 more jinx and you lose them all, you're quite happy with that as long as you're not losing races. But rollout, this is one of the survival rounds really are the best for this. But again, and a round where you actually have a little bit more agency in the outcome of your opponent's round as well. So we'll see if we see any calculated aggression. Trip Hop sort of doesn't seem to ever really play like that until later in the game. He kind of sneaks up on you. He's a little bit more of a passive player at first, and then when it counts, he's really in there to try and get that surgical strike on you. But it looks like Polio and Stratosphere just kind of chilling. It looks like they're trying to corner Puffly here, potentially, though.
They're kind of sneaking up on him, you can see from the back there. Puffly Jig might have been able to notice that and just kind of keeping to themselves, you know, staying in the safe places on the platform. There have been a couple players throughout Fall Guys competitive history that have really made a name for being able to catch their opponents off guard in the survival settings. Like we look at Fi-Fi. Fire Dragon is one of like the best griefing competitors when it comes to these situations. He just seems to know where to be to not arouse any suspicion and then just push it like the best possible moment and get his opponents out. That really is a valuable skill to learn. And we've seen it a couple times in Fallapalooza too. Fant was able to kind of turn the tides of battle when he needed it most as well. So, you know, we look to these players to make it to the finals all the time, right? They're always good enough to make it to the finals, but throwing a wrench in the plan like that, getting out an opponent early, throws the game in your direction, you know?
Absolutely, it's huge, and you can really capitalize on it. And we've seen what happens, though, when you try to capitalize too hard. We had the match yesterday with Zgas where they were up 2-1 in a roll. That was the Fant match, where they were up 2-1 players in a rollout, and they tried too hard to push their advantage as opposed to just playing the round out and getting to the final and sort of, you know, Fant was able to take a bad situation and turn it into an incredible positive for his team by taking out 2 people on the same map, and he didn't care if that round ended. He was like, if you know, as far as he's concerned, he's down if that round ends right there, and so he did that, and it's pretty incredible to watch a player do that. I would say Chloe, another beginning, another incredible competitor who we've seen multiple times, absolutely smurf. KP snagged me once in when we competed against each other in Fall Mania. He absolutely ninja kicked me on a block party. I still have no idea how he did it. Still concussed from the event, but it's honestly incredible. I'm not much of a hugely aggressive player myself, as we see an excellent pants from Polio there on Trip Hop to secure a ring for himself. I'm not much of an aggressive player myself, so when I see people who are very, very good at it, it blows my mind. I have no idea how they do it.
It's a force to be reckoned with, you know, and it really is the defining factor between the squad tournaments and the head-to-head tournaments, that you can kind of push things in your favor with some of these like griefing strategies, these competitive strategies. Neon was talking a lot about some different ones, including in this game where you put yourself at like 5 out of 6 points, and then maybe you try and grief your opponents and just like follow them around and prevent them from getting rings, pants them when you can. Um, like some of these strategies are kind of mind-boggling, and I think that's going to be the future of these head-to-head competitive tournaments. You think less about just playing your game the best that you can, but also trying to ruin it for your opponents as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I alluded to that earlier when I was saying the overall comfort of competitors is not high enough yet to really go for any of these kind of crazy,
Yeah.
high aggro sort of plays. But I definitely think you're right. I think as we go along, the grab button is only going to get more and more overpowered in Fall Guys. I mean, most of the casual community already hates it, but grapplers are annoying or whatever. But it is really insane to see just the kind of mind games and meta games you can really push. As we see Stratosphere on only 3 out of 6 rings, he's the final competitor, and we see the superhero doing superhero things. It's but he's getting 5. He needs 1 more. He's running out of time here. Only 4 spots to go. He is going to be able to snag it after the tomato whiffs his jump. But gold and silver for Trip Hop versus pink and I believe bronze for Polio. So that's a huge medal swing right there. That's like +4 medals, 140 kudos. That's a big swing.
Huge swing. If it swings, if nobody wins this crown in this third episode, it likely just swings right back in the direction of the has-beens, and they might hold the kudos lead going into episode 4. So it's going to come down to this next couple of games. Another snowy scrap here.
Everybody's favorite edition from season 3. I think that this map is like almost good, and then just the little dips and how easy it is to grief make it just so not fun to play. But I'm excited to see what kind of team games I saw in the leaked screenshots for season 4. They do have the basketball game they had in the beta. Sort of looks like it might be in development / coming out potentially. I obviously don't know for sure, but that would be really cool. I would love to see what that mode's all about. It'd be good to get some more team games in that actually have some sort of variation of skill expression.
I would love to see that. Yep. We always talk about at Fallapalooza that, like, if we could cater the episodes in some way to just remove the team games entirely, it would obviously solve all of our problems. But, the next best thing is creating some team games that do have a varietal level of skill where you're not just relying on, do I have the best NPCs or not? It can come down to the solo efforts of one player, let's say.
Absolutely. It's like low population fall balls like that. I'm unpopular opinion, hot take. I actually think Jinx is the best team game.
Oh, dang.
And I know that. Now, hear me out here. I'm not just some guy being
I'm
like,
listening.
"Hey, chat."
You got my ears wide open right now.
So, I know that you're still relying on NPCs to be able to press the R2 button. I know for sure, but it is the only game where theoretically you can indefinitely carry the game by yourself as a solo if you never get caught. Of course, obviously that's all in theory, but we've had it multiple times where either in squad tournaments or even just in casual play, like, I'll be the last person alive, and I'm sure we've all had, you'll be the last person alive on Jinx, and you win, and you were the reason your team won. You were the biggest reason because you got vaccinated early. So it's nice to see, a team game like that, and it would be interesting to see if there's any team game that can come along like that can sort of capture that mentality.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's the reason that I say I like Jinx more than Hoarders, for example, because Hoarders tends to feel more like an RNG fest. You could sit there and do absolutely nothing, or you could try your very best to defend, and the same outcome will happen. It just doesn't feel like any individual player really has a say in how that game goes sometimes. When you get a squad going, when you got a whole team of 4, you can kind of coordinate your efforts a little bit better. But yeah, when you're playing solos, Hoarders is not a game you want to see.
No, absolutely. It's definitely one of especially the high population ones where, some guy's just going to get a howitzer every time, as we see Polio and Stratosphere, a couple handsome fellas, 2 times King of Zone, Fall Guys solo tourney champion from Stratosphere, and 100 Brawl Stars tourney winner for Polio. These guys, like we were saying, and like I alluded to earlier when I just got on, it's very much these guys have been grinders in the sort of smaller side of the scene. So it's really nice to see them have some success in a more major tournament.
Yeah, they go out of their way to participate in as many of these competitive events for Fall Guys, big or small, as they possibly can. So getting them up here in Fallapalooza to play for 3rd place right now is a testament to all of that effort that they've put in, and we're happy to have them here. And also, can we just comment on the coordination these guys always bring? They always take their promotional photos together with some sort of coordination. When they actually got like a custom one done by Dan, where they put an energy ball in the middle just specifically for this case. So these guys are working together to make the big plays happen.
It's amazing. You love to see team synergy even out of the game. You know what I mean? Like at first, I saw them with the picture and I was like, do these guys live together? Like that's so cool. Are they IRL friends? I'm not entirely sure, but either way, it's awesome. And the PogChamp faces just add to it. I'm a big proponent of the PogChamp face. I think we should all have one for all occasions. I think it's definitely necessary as we get into a jump showdown. Dangers.
Ooh. See, now there are certain finals that I love to see in these competitive formats as a spectator, as a host, and I think my favorite one has to be Jump Showdown.
I am inclined to agree with you. I think it's definitely one of the more overpowered modes in terms of how hard it can swing a set with the high likelihood of a timeout. The Jump Showdown, everybody was upset when they added the fan. They thought it was going to be way too hard to do, but we've already shown that it's really not too hard to do. But the thing about Jump Showdown was, especially as a solo, all the action is done after about 2 minutes. Everybody who's going to have been griefed will have been griefed by roughly that time. So you're just spending 3 minutes hitting the X button. So as we're seeing the platforms fall away here, ooh, it's a 50-50. One competitor on either side from either team. They got a great spread. The Mediatonic special. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get one side who absolutely does not get to play the game? Uh-oh, here we
Let's
go.
have
We
a
got
look.
Paleo and Puffly versus Stratosphere and Trip Hop on the other side.
Leo and Puffly Jig playing a little patty cake, but it looks like one
Oh, Trip's
platform
out.
from each side. Trip gets maybe griefed off the side, and Puffly
Puffly's
Jig
out.
misses their jump. This is a prime location, folks, for Paleo and Stratosphere. Can they hold on? They just have a couple of NPCs, one per platform, it looks like. Oh, and now Paleo is all by himself on the platform. So what do you do if you're Stratosphere? Do you try and grief that bean off, or do you just jump it out and hope you don't get griefed yourself? He's going to go for it. He's going to go for the full grab, but survives anyways. Now we're in a timeout situation, folks. We've got 3.5 minutes to stick around here. If they time it out, that's going to be a huge kudos lead going into the next 2 episodes.
I got to watch this clip back, Dangers. How does Stratosphere full grab that guy and live, by the way? But either way, yeah, this is massive. And I was talking about it. This is you're seeing this mode is incredibly overpowered in this late in a set as well. If both these competitors can time it out, that is flat 1,470 kudos that they're going to be able to take to the bank. And with only 2 games left, that becomes incredibly hard to come back from. You're kind of hoping you either see a roll off or another jump showdown if you're has-beens. So has-beens are just, praying to some sort of entity somewhere, as we see Paleo struggling a little bit, but it's going to be okay. They're praying to some sort of entity that either somebody chokes or both of them fall into the slime and get a 10 out of 9 non-qual or something like that. But this is a huge commanding lead, and if the Wolfgang can clutch this out, they give themselves a massive, massive chance to win this set.
Sure. Now, the interesting thing about the way the platforms are lined up, they're on exact opposite sides, meaning they're going to get exactly the same cycles. So you kind of just have to put trust in your teammate that they are able to play the game in exactly the same way that you can, and hold on for the 5 minutes to get the timeout.
Absolutely. I think we're cresting 2.5, 3-ish minutes now. And this is really, as I want to get your opinion on this because I've asked a bunch of people, do you feel like minute 2 to 3 is the hardest part of a jump showdown?
I agree, for sure.
Way more than 4 or 5, because 4 or 5, there's a lot more room for error. In 2 and 3, sometimes you only get one cycle, one opportunity to jump over the bar before it's just completely just sweeps you across. So whereas you can make a couple errors later in the game or take an extra cycle, take an extra bar pass, and you're okay. But they're sort of out of that part of the woods. So now it's just about maintaining that composure. Stratosphere dialed in there. You can see his eyes. I'm pretty sure that might be the first time he's blinked in 3 minutes, but it's hard to commentate this because I can feel the nerves in these players. It's just jump, and there's nothing you can do to speed it up.
Or yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on the jump showdown. I think there was like a honeymoon phase when the game was new, that around like the 4.5 minute mark, that's when players started taking a dump into the slime. That was really hard to kind of keep up with the pace. But now that we've gotten past that, now that we understand how the bar works and how it speeds up, it's definitely that middle part, right? It's the bar on the top is moving at just the right speed that the bottom bar kind of just like sweeps over the entire platform. It can be hard to gauge. We're past that now. Again, like you said, it's just the fast part. But yeah, the focus is real. The focus is huge. I know that in competitive tournament settings, the stakes are so high that sometimes the nerves can get in the way of accomplishing your goal. And as I say it, Palio misses his jump, takes it a little bit too early, and is in the slime as a result. So only one crown coming out of this matchup, folks.
You're still happy about the one crown, but oh man, Dangerous, you got to link me the script, dude. That was way too well timed. But it was, yeah, I was actually watching Palio jump as you were talking. I was saying like he's jumping crazy, crazy early. Like it was scary watching him for like 3 or 4 jumps before that. It was pretty terrifying. But yeah, unfortunate there, and that's where the nerves come in, and that's where sort of potentially inexperience in these major big tournaments on a big stage, that's you're playing in front of hundreds of people, that's where it can kind of get to you. And we've all had that moment. I've definitely choked a jump showdown multiple times in tournaments, and normally it's in squads tournaments, so I have 3 better players to bail me out, but that just is what it is. That's part of the game. It's heartbreaking, but again, you still got to look at that and be like, okay, we still have a crown lead. That's still a big deal.
Yep. I mean, obviously, if you're on the has-beens, you're breathing a sigh of relief that the mountain that you have to climb is only a little bit more of like a molehill. If we get a crown now, it's right back into it. Tie game going into the 5th episode, but they got to bring the heat. They got to answer back just like they did before.
Absolutely. And remember, we did have that massive swing in this game. I think it was the Hoopsy Legends where gold, silver for Puffly and Trip Hop, and then I think it was bronze pink or maybe silver pink for the other 2. So that's a big medal swing here. So we're actually probably going to have less than a crown lead, less than a 700 kudos lead for on the side of Wolfgang. So they're really going to have to pick up the races. They're going to have to pick up those hunt games, try and make sure that they're really cementing their lead, because right now it's very fragile. A crown swings it either way.
Absolutely, yeah. And to think, yeah, that situation where Stratosphere just barely sneaking into the finals in the first place because that Hoopsy Legends, that pink medal, hurts big time. The crown means something, but the medals mean more in these tight situations.
Absolutely, especially over these longer sets. I've said it a couple times already. I'm going to continue harping on it because I think it's important. It's the future of, well, it's the meta in Fall Guys 2v2s right now, is you have to be counting those kudos. You have to be like, that's 3 medals, that's 105 kudos, that's 2 medals, that's 70. And you have to be thinking about that constantly, because those really can make the difference over one of these longer sets. You can have 4 games where you have 3 races in each game, and if you're +1 medal in each of those, that's half a crown. And that can be the difference. We saw it yesterday. I hate to bring it up because the Z-Gas boys are homies, but they ended up losing. If they had not tried to aggress so hard on Fant in that rollout and then thrown it, they would have actually been able to win that set based on the kudos they would have farmed just getting to the finals.
Exactly.
Without an extra competitor. So these kind of decisions can come back to bite you, but of course hindsight's 2020. If I could sit here and say that from my sitting here and not having to compete at all, but it's in the moment you make decisions, and sometimes they work out and you're a genius, and sometimes they flub and you feel like pretty awful.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Yeah.
The has-beens just about 650 points behind the Wolfgang right now, so you're right. Less than a crown's worth away here. The has-beens, the 475, the 510, huge. 1140 from Stratosphere, even with the crown. That's on the lower end of what you can expect for the points in a 5-round game. So yeah, the has-beens are winning in the races. They're getting the gold medals. They're getting the better placements over the Wolfgang, and so crown swings it right back in their favor. That's all they got to do.
Absolutely. And you can look at Puffly Jig, across the board, averaging 475 kudos a game. Absolutely just clutch, consistent performance. Hasn't won a crown yet, but he's still got 2 games to do so. And if you can continue having that sort of like nice influx of kudos where you see the other competitors are kind of like 510, 440, 370, 475, like it's a little bit of inconsistency there. So being able to have that consistent influx of kudos sort of gives you a better way of planning this stuff out.
Absolutely, yep. And if you're the Wolfgang, we always say you just got to hold on. You got to play defensive. You got to kind of hold on to your lead. But again, you can't be caught on your heels either. It's not in your benefit to just kind of sit back and let the other team have their way with you to get back into this one. So you still got to play your best game, not just play your safest game.
Absolutely. The safest game, like you're saying, is not good enough anymore. It might have been good, earlier on in tournaments where people are just trying to figure out how the game works, and we haven't encountered all these situations, but so many of these players have put so many hundreds of hours in. There's not a lot of situations they're unfamiliar with. So to see, interesting developments like people getting out in early rounds and stuff is fairly uncommon these days. So As I say that, we get a DoorDash. So if there is going to be a round where somebody gets absolutely destroyed by some desync, it's going to be this one. Will any of the competitors go for the glitch?
Is the question. We've already seen it a couple times in this competition. I think it's the kind of situation that if it lines itself up really well, you go for it, you let it happen. But if it doesn't, you just got to play your game. It looks like nobody's really going to the left side. You can see Paleo was thinking about it. Paleo was like, okay, maybe if there's a door piece over on this side, but there just wasn't, so he's gonna have to just play the episode normal. Don't want to wait around.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things to note is that the door pieces in the game are client side. So where this snowman sees his door pieces and where Paleo is seeing his door pieces are completely different. So that's why you'll have an NPC just randomly, if you're trying to set up the glitch and they're trying to set up the glitch, they'll be randomly sprinting around in front of you as we're seeing the qualifications come through here. It looks like everybody's going to make it through in relatively good order. I think everybody might have even picked up a silver there. Bronze from Trip, silver from Puffly. Silver from so silver, bronze, silver, I think. So +1 medal there for Wolfgang. That's good.
Yep, they got to be happy about that one. DoorDash is such a hard game to kind of determine the medals. You know, that is definitely the kind of game where you just want to get in. Like, obviously, you want the medals to swing your way, but crossing the finish line is much more important.
Yeah, getting an extra 35 kudos is a lesser priority than not losing 500 and dying. So, time to run. This is one where, how do you feel about this statement, Dangers? I feel like this one is a little bit more spawn dependent.
Oh, for sure.
Because of the desync tunnel.
Yep. The very beginning has that big desync tunnel. I was saying, if Mediatonic is listening, hear me out. Put a big Aegis right at the beginning on the left side that like shoots you over.
Ooh. I like that. That's actually like a season 4 update. Anybody you can have that one for free. Mediatonic Dangers will give it to you, I'm sure. Definitely. But that's a good idea. Sort of a little skill-based something to get you up there and skip the mess that is this tunnel. Puffly Jig's got the best spawn in the lobby right now. Kaleo has the worst back left. Let's see how this goes for him. He wishes there was a Aegis right now.
Yeah, that like front, middle, kind of right-ish side spawn is the best place to be, and Puffly Jig got it, and you can see why. Just cruising in front of everybody else, doesn't have to deal with the desync of anybody else. He even almost, nice little landing on the yellow fence.
Antonio Hoff, is that you? That is absolutely incredible. Yeah, you'd love to see the landing there. He doesn't get the Superman dive. Paleo gets a nice pants from Stratosphere. Okay. Little pre-finals grief. Look at him. He knows what he did. Awesome. That's an awesome grab. You love to see that. Just the tiny little things. That might be the difference between a silver and a bronze medal.
And Paleo gets the gold as well. You know, Puffly was like kind of combating. Oh, wait, Stratosphere didn't get the good launch off there, so he's going to have to try again. But yeah, Puffly Jig was up at the front of the pack. That might have been the difference, you know, and now another gold medal in their pocket means they're catching up on those kudos again.
Yeah, the gold medal being big there. We'll see if, I think it's only top 8 here, so we'll see if Stratosphere managed to squeak in. I didn't quite see it, but it looked like silvers for Trip and Puffly. I think Puffly hit the Superman on his second time around. So we got silver, gold, and bronze. Okay, so the kudos neutral. So even with the grief, Stratosphere unfortunately dropping to a bronze medal there, but still a kudos neutral round for Wolfgang.
Yeah, bit of an unfortunate flip on the end there for Stratosphere. So having to take the bronze medal, 31 qual means no team games. So another survival game or another race game coming our way.
And I think if you're has-beens, you want to see Slime Climb here and try and get cute with it, maybe, and try and do a little make somebody disappear. We're getting a rollout, so you could still do the same thing.
I don't know who grabbed me.
Opportunity abounds.
Opportunity abounds again. You know, you got to be careful. You don't want to end up like Z-Gas, like we were talking about, in a situation where you get a little bit greedy, get a little bit zealous, the desync doesn't work your way, and you end up in the slime yourself. But you also want to take advantage of the situation, you know?
That desync.
How do you know, and at what point, it's one of those things where it's so easy to say, like, I don't want to grief because I've got one more game left. I don't want to grief because I've got 2 more games left. But then you get to the last game, and now it's like, well, now I have to grief. So my hand is kind of forced here, isn't it? You know, they're going to be on extra high alert. They're definitely not going to be standing near any edges that are vulnerable or anything like that. So maybe you want to, like, this is why I'm wondering when people are going to start getting into the early round griefs, because nobody's expecting it. I don't think anybody's expecting it. People will be like, oh, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think that you should definitely start taking a chance here because, I mean, of course, you know, worst to worst, they throw it as this Santa tries to cancel Christmas on Trip Hop, but Trip Hop's like, so he's good. He put out the milk and cookies, so Santa leaves him alone for now. Doesn't
now,
look like
though.
it's an aggravated sniper, but that's good.
Santa Claus in February, get him out. We're almost
Get
into
him
March
out.
now.
Take the day off. Take the year off, Santa. Come on. As we see, Paleo, and it seems like Paleo and Stratosphere do like to stick to this left side of the map. Left side relative to the fruit cannons, I suppose, but he's sort of standing over here with Puffly Jig. It's strange that Puffly Jig is comfortable just sitting over here by himself in kind of a 1v2 situation. If I'm Stratosphere and Paleo, I'm kind of getting a little aggressive on him because the odds of Puffly Jig just absolutely flipping the script on you is not high. You know, as a 1v2, you can sort of do things to counteract. As we see Trip Hop join the party over here, so never mind, shut my mouth, I guess.
The entire lobby of our competitors just kind of sitting on this blue wheel. There's a couple schools of thought on how to stay safe in block parties. You know, there's like a really nice safe path that you can take. Probably about 30 seconds in, if you go into the yellow wheel, you can kind of always be on these longer portions. But also, I think I'm more of the player that kind of just likes to stick to one side and transition between the blue and the purple and just kind of mark my territory over there. Because then again, yeah, if somebody comes over to try and harass me, maybe I've been setting up a home base. You can see Paleo's trying to do exactly that to Puffly, pushing him into the corner there, but everybody's still alive. 2 to go into the slime.
I agree. As Puffly's kind of getting harassed by the strawberry here, but he manages to navigate. He hits the patty cake. He doesn't care. He's clapping that strawberry. But yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I think is an advantage of staying on the side of course, it's easier to get cornered, but that comes with the trade-off of you can only really be attacked from one side. You don't have to keep track of the other side of you. And in a hectic game like this, with everybody's camera spinning around, we had Rapid winning Wolf on the roll-off the other day. Rapid spinning camera. It is sometimes a little bit hard to keep track of everything in 3D space. So congratulations all the competitors for making it through that. It always feels like rollouts in tournament last like 45 times longer than they do in casual lobbies, doesn't it?
As a player, for sure it does, because you're just like, okay, these, you know, and I think part of that is actually as a result of the players themselves, because when you're playing the casual lobbies, you don't really care if you get eliminated. You know, you're throwing caution to the wind, you're pushing beans in yourself, you're causing some of those eliminations to happen. So as soon as you start taking it easy, as soon as you start to kind of try and play your safest game, suddenly there's less beans hitting the slime because you're not the one doing it.
That's very true. You're taking the most dangerous player out of the lobby in that sense. I completely agree with you. But it always feels like, you know, like all of a sudden every bean in the entire universe is just an absolute gamer legend. As we see Paleo, nice creep, little preemptive. He's showing him what's up. He's going to be wary. Trip's going to have to be wary about that on the last wall. But nice little push. And again, these kind of griefs, you know, there's a lot of people out there who might be like, well, Trip's still going to qual. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. But this could be the difference between, you know, Trip getting a silver, Trip getting a bronze. And those tiny things can add up over the series.
And Trip is right behind him, as you can see on the red. But you know, even if it's not about the medals, even if it's not about qual or not qual, sometimes it can just be about sending a message, right? You know, you're kind of getting in the heads of your opponents, you're psyching them out, you're creating a level of unpredictability, right? If you make those plays, if you make those griefs, you're kind of telling your opponents that you might do it again in the future, that there might be an opportunity for you to strike again when they're least expecting it, right? So I like that kind of play from the Wolfgang.
100%. I completely agree with you. And it looks like that's going to be another gold, silver, silver, bronze round, as I believe Stratosphere squeaked in at 5th, which is going to be top 50% as a samurai gets speared in the kidneys by an owl. You love seeing that. I was actually thinking, I think Stratosphere had an opportunity to go for a spear on Puffly Jig, and I wonder, we saw it yesterday employed by Two Peas in a Pod where Essence locked up Ryan Bushman on a tiptoe that didn't allow either of them to qual and just took him completely out of the game. So I wonder if we're going to see something like that. Like maybe you intentionally, you know, take somebody down with you such that it's a 1v1 in the final, and all of a sudden the likelihood of an NPC winning goes up. I wonder if that's going to be a strategy that's employed by people, because I wonder if griefing's not going to become the major metagame. As we see Thin Ice, Trip Hop's had a couple of these.
Yeah, we've seen big wins on Thin Ice from both of these teams so far in Fallapalooza. Now they have to go head-to-head on the Thin Ice. Who's going to come out on top? 12 players, 4 of them being our competitors, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is scary. You're a third of the lobby. NPC is not usually too big of a thing. You know, you might want to practice some tune-up jousts, try and go for some NPC knees as they walk around the outside of the map. Give yourself more to work with, less to think about. More space to work with, less human beings to rock your socks later in the round and take up your island. But As we see Trip immediately just getting into it. There's no chance of that grab ever doing anything, but, you know, gotta occupy that mental space. You gotta secure the mental advantage, so to speak. Like, let them know you're there. They can't just autopilot for the first 2 minutes of the round. They gotta be constantly vigilant, making sure they're not getting tossed close to an ice hole.
Exactly. And I ask this of every commentator that comes into the booth, so I'm going to ask it again here. Spark, what is your strategy for the first 45 seconds to the minute of thin ice? Because you're killing time, right? So what is the most strategic way to kill time in a thin ice?
Pretty much. Just a NASCAR. Just run it around. Just try
Nice.
I like to keep the I like to keep the layers even as possible, basically. Try and make sure that nobody's got like any major stacks. Makes it a lot easier to sort of think about. You don't have to worry about different elevations, people having extra tiles that you're not accounting for. Oh, the grief there from Paleo. Pretty close. Trip Hop's going to get over and try and do it to him.
Oh.
Trip Hop is in trouble here. He's got his own little space. This is actually not bad for him. He doesn't have a ton of space. He's going to have to move, but I don't know. I think Trip... Oh, nice suicide. Excellent suicide from Stratosphere. That was genius. Absolutely
Really well
genius.
played to leave Paleo with a little bit of extra space now.
But
Trip is making the big jumps to get to the big space now. It's between them and an NPC. Big dive by Paleo to eliminate Trip. It's going to come down to this. Paleo with the incredible plays in the thin ice to get rid of the NPC and take another crown in this third place matchup, folks.
That was an absolutely incredible clutch from Paleo. Holy moly. I can't believe that. That is nuts. To be able to pull that off. He even hits the gamer jump at the end there on thin ice just to really secure it, even though the astronaut was already heading to the slime. Absolutely relentless attack from Paleo there. And that's got to make, you know, because he did unfortunately choke the round 3 jump showdown in the finals there. So being able to get that back and sort of have a much better chance at winning, definitely, and being able to close that one out and really cement the lead. I mean, now it's like a crown and a half lead. So now, as long as you place well in the races equally with your opponents, you're kind of sitting there being like, if it's not jump showdown, we probably win.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever final you see, you don't want to see a timeout. I mean, a roll off is also a potential timeout.
True.
We haven't seen it in Fallapalooza yet, but it's no stranger to these competitors now that the wheels are moving slower that it could be a timeout. There's a couple options on the board now, right? You have to be a little bit more nervous about these double crown situations, but yeah, Paleo making it count, getting another crown in a row for Wolfgang, saying, you know what, Stratosphere, I let you down on the double crown. I owe you one. Here it is.
Absolutely. Incredible comeback. The sort of mental reset he would have to do after being like, we should be up by so much more. We should be up by so much more. And then he manifested it. He is up by so much more now. And with one game to go, that's better than if he had done it in the previous game. Because,
exactly,
you know, you've got one game to make up a crown and a half difference. As we look at the scoreboard here, yeah, that's almost a 2 crown difference right there. That is a crazy amount of space you have to make up. So as long as Paleo and Stratosphere both make the finals, they place well in races, and it's not jump showdown or, you know, or roll off or even like a low population thin ice or something, it's definitely looking very strong for them.
Yep. You obviously can't discount, like, the numbers are large. You know, we're in the thousands of points here, but when it comes right down to it, the way that the points are structured and the crowns and stuff, it can flip pretty easily one way or the other at any moment, especially with the double crowns taking into the picture. So if you're the Wolfgang, you're not out of the woods yet. And that's kind of the cool thing about the kudos scoring format, is that there's very rarely a situation where one team runs away with just a decisive victory, especially when you get down into the top 8 in these Fallapalooza competitions. So it's not over until it's over is all I'm going to say. We have seen crazier things happen. The has-beens do have some work to do, though.
No, absolutely. The has-beens need a little bit of Fall Guys luck to roll their way here. They need some excellent round selection. They need some good opportunities. They need to capitalize on all of them, and they also need a favorable final. But given the fact that we do have 2 out of the 6 finals are favorable in that way, and we've seen both of them in this set already, it's definitely not, definitely not an impossibility. They could also go for an incredibly aggro play. But this is one of those things where, again, you might get into another rollout and you're like, yeah, but I mean, we could get a jump showdown final. And if we get a jump showdown final, then we don't really need to take risks. We can take the risks then. And it's, when do you want to push off taking that risk and making that play and going for it at some point, right? Because if you push it off too long, eventually you're going to run out of time. You're going to get to the jump showdown. Maybe you get into a 1v2 and automatically you've lost the set. So there's I'm definitely an advocate for trying to sneak in these cheeky griefs and stuff like that earlier on in the round. But they, like you said, oh, never mind. Hold my thought. Oh, later. Sorry.
Kicks me in the face.
Adorable.
Yeah. To compound on what you're saying, you're absolutely right. In these double crown situations, if you're ahead, you need to eliminate the double crown possibility, whether that be crossing your fingers and hoping that it's a final that doesn't allow for that. Leave it up to the game or leave it up to yourselves. Maybe you even make a sacrifice in this situation, right? You get a roll off and maybe you try and go for the full grab to push him off or something. You gotta eliminate that opportunity as early as you can to solidify your win in this third place match.
Pretty much. They have a mountain to climb, and it's not Fall Mountain. There's a lot more RNG in the way. There's a lot more NPCs in the way. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be flying at them at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They definitely need to buckle down. They need some stuff to go their way, but these players, Trip Hop and Puffly Jig, we've seen it before. They are very capable of coming back from deficits. So definitely not out of luck, down and out. They're not down bad just yet. As we're looking to get into Game 5 here, actually. Perfect timing. DoorDash round 1. So do you go for the glitch here? Try and get a medal back. Doesn't look like any of the competitors are.
I don't think so. I think Trip is hiding behind their screen again, but we can see him on Puffly Jig's screen here, going through the level just normally. Look who's at the back of the pack right now, though, getting kind of caught up. It's going to be Stratosphere here. Is there going to be enough time to catch up to the pack? He needs a good boost off of the fan here. Is that going to be enough?
I think they're both in. Stratosphere's is a little bit more delayed. So he was in actually ahead of Paleo, I think, and Paleo managed to snag, I think, 39th or 40th. So that is but the crazy thing is that's sort of the cold shower of this day of, if you think of the episode as a day, that's the cold shower. That's probably the worst it's going to get. You're not going to get a worse round than that. That's not like snowball survival or something. So fingers crossed that they don't have to deal with any of that. Night Fever's a nice, easy breezy second round. And if you're has-beens, you're just trying to focus on that medal lead.
That's right. Yep. The double crown, again, is the situation for the has-beens to come back and pull this into a kudos situation. So just get the gold medals and kind of do what you've already been doing all the way through this competition, just dominating the races. Do what you have to.
Absolutely. And, I wonder if it's worth, sort of trying to, if you're the Wolves, trying to absolutely grief people and just prevent them from getting even first place, because the only medal that really matters is first place for the most part. So if you can tap grab somebody and give an NPC a gold medal, that's something that's pretty big, I think.
That's huge. Yep, for sure.
We see the Yeetus variation here. Paleo off the bonkus, the combo shot makes it. That was
gorgeous.
Nice. Beautiful. Mwah.
So no gold medal for our competitors in NPC, but again, if you're the Wolfgang, that's a good thing to see. It's not going towards the has-beens. Play a little patty cake at the finish line.
Puffly Jig just giving him the stare down there. He's like, hey, man, come on. Just get over the line, dude, okay? We get it. You're very strong. As we see Stratosphere coming in here. I think he's still going to finish in the single digits of players here because of NPCs just standing on the finish line. So you got to love to see that. It's the worst. One of the most aggravating things is when you're waiting for, you're trying to calculate your medals. You're trying to figure out who's up in kudos. And you're like, okay, cool. Like this guy's probably going to come 13th. You're counting the people ahead of him. And then like 3 people just turn around on the finish line and that person gets silver instead of bronze. And you're like, okay, well, that's fine. I guess I'll just, I guess I just won't take any advantage because NPCs need to flex on the finish line.
As they do, yep. I've seen a couple of interesting clips from you where you've like kind of taught them a lesson, so to speak, especially on like big fans where you've got that one bean dancing at the finish line. You're just hiding around the corner waiting for the last person to roll in so that they get eliminated.
Okay, then.
That's the Chewy Louie special. He used to do that where he'd get behind and he'd stand inside one of the flags, so it made him really hard to see. And he'd have his hands out so his guy wouldn't do his idle animation. And you'd get the bean on the line like gesturing at everybody, which is the worst emote in the game. Yeah, I said it. And he would just school them. So the new one is on one of the fan variations. You can get inside one of the posts and sort of troll them that way. So that's one of my new favorite things to do. Paleo getting extremely lucky that he didn't get RNG flippered into the Great Beyond Realms. This is a 19 qual, so he probably still would have been fine, but it definitely would have been a medal difference on his scorecard. So we're getting a little bit of good fortune there as we see Trip Hop and Puffly Jig comfortably out in front. But look at this Orange Bean, absolutely gaming up front. This is the guy who was first place on Night Fever as well. This is the player.
Yeah, makes you wonder if there's going to be, if that bean has any sort of pull in the finals potentially. All of the episodes previous have been won by our competitors, but maybe the orange bean kind of is just an absolute gamer and pulls out a win in the finals. We'll have to see. A little bit of griefing happening by Trip Hop and Paleo there. The flippers weren't able to eliminate anybody though. Everybody's going to be crossing the line safely.
Absolutely. The griefing attempt there is always interesting. There used to be a checkpoint at the top here where if you got up to basically right in front of these conveyor belts, you could go back down and actually suicide grief people off of these boxing gloves, and you'd respawn back up at the top.
Right.
As we see bronze, bronze, silver, silver. So kudos neutral round for the teams here. So then you can see Stratosphere. I think he knows. He's like, yep, that's fine. That is fine. We're down with that. As long as they don't see something terrible in the finals.
19 qual, probably going to see one more race game of some kind before we get into our finals here. And, the has-beens are running out of time. They've been seeing all but race games, but now look at this. We're going to be going into a snowball survival. If you're going to make a move, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, I feel like you got to be aggro here. I think you have to sort of throw caution to the wind and say, like, I don't want to bank on getting a good final here. Because, I mean, you know what? To be fair, though, the roll-off and Jump Showdown are both doable under 10 people, right? So you would actually be okay if this lobby went down to like 4, even just you 4. You'd be okay because that would give you better chance because both of the Hexagon games would be out. So this is kind of interesting. Do you go ham? This Gold Witch certainly is trying to, and just sprinting around. Pleo gets knocked over by Godzilla, just flying through the air. But so far, we're just kind of gaming.
Now, you got to be careful that the lobby doesn't get too small, though, because it throws Royal Fumble into the equation as well, right?
That is true.
Obviously can't double crown that in any capacity. And even with Fall Mountain, you have the chance of, like, getting the exact server tie on the frames. But with a Royal Fumble, if the lobby gets too small, then there's only one tail to grab, folks, and that's going to be the crown. So
a hard one to...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Definitely would put Royal Fumble in the mix. I think 6 is the lowest you could have to have everything in. I think 6 is the only number of players you can have remaining, but it looks like we're going to have potentially even over 10, which would not be the best thing because that would rule out roll-off, because roll-off's 10 or fewer. So if we don't get below 10 here, looks like we did.
What is it looking like?
It's 10.
Exactly.
Okay, so we could get a roll-off, we could get a Jump Showdown. Both those are in play. The only final not in play is Royal Fumble. So you have a 2 in 5 chance of getting the final you need.
And what is it going to be? Fall Mountain, of course. The max number for a Fall Mountain that you can get. How are these players going to line up here? Obviously, the Wolfgang is thinking, okay, this gives us an even better chance. The only way the has-beens can beat us now is if they get a double crown on a perfect grab, which is very unlikely. Let's see how it plays out.
Absolutely. And you have so much agency there. The tap grabbing, here we go. Don't even let him. Don't even let him get close. You just tap grab him.
Play.
Exactly. Just very smart. Don't full pop him, but just tap grab him. Exactly. Yep. Nice. Very nice. So you've taken Trip Hop out of the game. The potential for a double crown is basically gone because by the time Trip Hop gets up there, NPCs will have gotten up there. You don't want to give away the crown to them either, so they can't just sit there and wait. So that's really good. And this is an interesting thing to think about. Look at the desync disadvantage, or look at the desync difference there. You can't see it anymore, but Paleo was ahead on his screen and behind on Trip Hop's screen, and that's something eliminated. As we see at the top, that's going to be, it looks like it was. Oh, he missed it. He missed it. It was an NPC.
He missed the jump. He was a little too early on the left side. Crown's going to go to an NPC, but that puts a smile on Stratosphere's face. He knows that he's earned himself the 3rd place spot in Fallapalooza 3, folks.
And extremely well played by those Wolf boys. The entire tournament, both the 2 days, having to overcome potentially one of the harder routes through the bracket, I would say, arguably, of course. But that is big congratulations to them. Of course, also shout outs to the has-beens. Big congratulations to them taking home 4th place, still having to beat out some incredible players. You know, they had the Bushmen on their side of the bracket. They had 2 peas in a pod on their side of the bracket. They had all the other teams. So they had to plow through a whole bunch of really tough competition to get to where they were today. So big congratulations to them.
They've earned everything that they've gotten today in their 3rd place finish. And, huge congratulations goes out to Trip Hop and Puffly Jig. Puffly Jig's 2nd, 4th place finish here in Fallapalooza, making a name for himself, obviously, in these competitions. Doesn't matter who you pair him with, he's going to be in the top 4 teams in Fallapalooza, which is the very good consistency for these tournaments, because just about anybody can come in and win. If there's so many good players out there, and it basically seems like everybody kind of rotates through. But Puffly Jig here to stay, as you can see.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be a commodity in high demand if he ever decides to become an unrestricted free agent. You got to be looking at maybe, partnering up with him. Maybe FaZe is going to sign him. I don't know. He's trick shotting his way all the way to Fall Mountain. But unfortunate ending there. As soon as you see the Fall Mountain, your heart kind of drops if you're has-beens, right? Because you're like, okay, well, the odds of us getting a double crown here are pretty slim to none. You need perfect spawns. You need a perfect run. But they still played their hearts out. Almost got it. But classic Popping Hammer, the God NPC, managing to snag 3rd place in Fallapalooza by himself. Of course not. But the Wolfgang crushing it all tournament long. So congratulations to them.
Incredibly well done. We're just receiving our final scores here. We obviously know who has pulled away with the win today, but man, what a good showing from both of these teams. Teams that we won't forget at all. And man, we're getting into the nitty gritty now, Spark. We're getting into the finals. We've let these 2 teams kind of take a breather. Team Slime Survivors, Team Positive Vibes. Positive Vibes had a very tough fight to get here. They've been able to take a breather, been able to kind of collect themselves. Are they going to be ready to take on the grand prize for Fallapalooza and give Positive Vibes a double back-to-back tournament victory?
That'd be huge. Back-to-back major victories like this, and in all these major tournaments where we have a lot of the top teams and a lot of the top players, it would be incredible to do a back-to-back. I'm not sure how many times that's ever really been done, but they are coming in hot off that. They have sort of meta momentum from that tournament win last week, and then even from their last set, they kind of commandingly won that one in game 3. Their only player, being Freshie, making it to the final out of the all 4 competitors, was the only one there, and he manages to pull it off as well. So that's pretty incredible. But on the other side, you have these fresh faces. You have these guys who have been underdogs, Team Slime Survivors. They've been absolutely crushing it. They knocked off Muchas Gracias. They, excuse me, I'm on the wrong part of the bracket. They knocked off Delete Fall Mountain. They knocked off Team Underscore. Like those are not teams you would expect to be being beaten by these relatively new players to the scene, or at least the competitive scene. Of course, Shud and Rapid Winning Wolf, I know both these guys very well. Excellent players. You see them all the time in snipe games and stuff like that, and they're always pulling off some sweet wins, getting their crowns and stuff like that. So it's, I'm not surprised that these guys are performing well, but to be able to perform well in a casual game or a snipe game is so much different from a tournament setting, and I'm very proud of them for being able to get this far.
With the snipe games and the, maybe even just like the casual stream snipe lobbies, the stream visit lobbies as we call them, I think the one benefit that provides you, and we've seen stream visitor teams enter these tournaments and do really well. I think if nothing else, the benefit that it provides you is insight, because those are the kinds of players that maybe aren't entering the tournaments themselves. Maybe they just haven't built up the courage or something, but they are always watching these top players play. They're always kind of taking notes, mental notes about what makes these players good. And so when they do finally appear, it seems like it's out of nowhere, but they've been practicing for this for their entire Fall Guys careers, so to speak. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And just seeing these players, and that's sort of what separates. There's a lot of people who will, and I'm sure you experience this a lot with your own stream, people will come in and ask you a very generic question like, how can I get better at Fall Guys? And I've heard you answer this question and say, like, you need to be more specific than that. You need to be actively thinking about what you need to be thinking, not what do I do, but do I do this, so to speak, where you're like, you have something in mind, you've isolated the problem, and you're not sure how to attack it, as opposed to being like, how do I just get better? It's a generic thing. And so you have these young players who come in and they watch streams and they will ask questions in chat that are very directed and engaged. And you see what happens. It separates the casual player from somebody who can really go on and improve themselves. It's that drive to improve in sort of that directed, conscious, engaged way.
Exactly. And obviously proving that is a valid strategy to enter one of these tournaments for the very first time, making it all the way to the finals against, probably the other story of what makes a good competitive player, the experience in tournaments facing up against Positive Vibes. And we'll see that in just a second. But first, a quick peek at our final scores for the third place match. 1,400 kudos, that crown difference separating the Wolfgang and the Has-Beens.
Yep, the almost 2 crowns worth of kudos there, and it really was, it was a joint effort. Palio had the first crown the first game. Stratosphere secured it on the jump showdown. Then Palio really put the nail in the coffin with the 1280. That's a very impressive number. Take 735 from that, and you're at was that 545? Very impressive kudos number even without the crown. That's an excellent round from Palio. Both these guys really just plugging along and doing what they needed to do to advance here. Very, very cool to watch. But I really do like your point about the fact that we have, Nightwalker and Freshie, positive vibes. One of the longest standing teams in the scene. I can remember watching them in some of the very first tournaments I ever competed in or ever even watched. I remember seeing them, and to see them in this situation after all this time, 6 months later, still trucking, still pushing really hard, and seeing the results. It's honestly very inspiring. And then you also have Slime Survivors on the other side of that, who I'm not sure how many tournaments they've competed in or if they've competed in major tournaments before, but it's quite incredible to see the fact that you can have teams come out of seemingly nowhere and challenge some of the more established players. And I think that's really healthy for the scene and should be really encouraging for anybody in the audience who really is thinking like, I don't know, like, how am I going to stack up against this? You'll never know till you try. And these guys are out here trying their hardest, and look, they're being rewarded for it.
Absolutely. And I will always say that Fallapalooza tries to accomplish that. The reason that we have these open signups is that if anybody wants to take a stab at them, all you got to do is get in line. Even if you don't make it into one event because you missed the 2-minute sign up that we have for these events, they're incredibly fast. You get put on the backup list, you get priority for the next one, and you get to try at least every other time to have a shot at Fallapalooza. So that's why we run these events, is for the community. It's by the community, funded completely through donations from very generous people, maybe even people that are participating in it, wanting to pay their way in anyways. It's all for the community, and it's just it's why the Fall Guys community is the way that it is. It's why it's so great.
We really do have a very remarkable scene here, don't we? There's a tremendous amount of mutual respect that goes around the scene. Even if you don't know the players personally, like, I don't know most of the players in this tournament, but I've never heard a bad word spoken about them, never heard anything but good stuff. And I think that there's sort of like an emotional maturity in the scene that I think is a little bit ahead of its time, where sometimes you can have scenes devolve into toxicity, and when there's money on the line, people's egos get in the way. And I think that for the most part, a lot of the top players and a lot of these new players are very observing of the fact that at the end of the day, it is a game. We're all playing to get better. We all want to improve. We all have the same goal, and building each other up and having a more cohesive, unified scene is, I think, a lot healthier in the long run than sort of a more fractured, scrappy one.
Exactly. You see the tensions might get high in the moment, but as soon as the tournament is over, as soon as it all is kind of settled and everybody's been decided for who wins and who doesn't, we all just kind of return back to the kind of casual and friendly atmosphere that we are, and the public snipe lobbies, and just getting along. The community has just always been about that, and it's so great to see.
Yeah, it really is. So, Dangerous, I'm going to ask you to Caster's Curse somebody. Let's get our predictions in. Who do we think is going to take Fallapalooza 3? FallapaTWOza.
Oh, man. Well, I feel like the story on the bottom half of the bracket has been about who has the strongest momentum. And the positive vibes have had the strongest momentum and just have had their head down and just gunning for eye on the prize, essentially, right? They just know what they need to do in the moment. They've proved that through every single round that they've been through. And even, the other side of the bracket has been about upsets. So when you put those two things together in such a clash, the Team Slime Survivors bringing down such dominant tournament forces against Positive Vibes, who were really in their element, and especially off of another tournament win. It's so close to call, but I think it's going to be Positive Vibes in the end. Commentator's curse all you want. I think that's how it's going to be, but
I got you on this. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say that the underdog is going to take it. I love a good underdog story. I love the fact that these guys have been grinding so hard and trying their hearts out. So I'm going to say Team Slime Survivors. No commentator's curse. It's all neutralized. We got one on each side. There's no possible way we could influence the... Let me check the script. There's no possible way we could influence the end of the tournament. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to see these games play, Dangerous. I can't tell you.
Oh, man. Well, we've seen some really intense, not just matches in this Fallapalooza, but finals in previous Fallapaloozas. It all comes down to this, folks. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, stretch your legs, refill your water, grab a snack, be back here. You do not want to miss these finals, folks. Coming your way in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and NB pals, welcome back to Fallapalooza 3. We've arrived, Spark, at the penultimate moment, the finals of Fallapalooza 3.
This is extremely exciting. I can't wait to watch this set. I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a set. I hope it goes down all the way to Game 5, last final. Either I hope it's not a royal fumble, but if it is, that's probably fine, I guess. It would just be really great to see everybody sort of, play their best. I want to see both teams absolutely smurfing on the competition. I want to have everybody get their one moment where they get to absolutely pop off. It's going to be great. I'm so excited.
You say hope it's not a royal fumble, but like there's a difference between the finals you want to see as a competitor and the finals you want to see as a host. And in my experience, some of the finals that you don't want to see as a competitor come down to be just the best ones to watch as a host.
Oh, for sure.
You get these very clutch fall mountains where, one person on one side, one on the other, they jump at the same time. Who wins, who knows? You get these royal fumbles that we've seen in this Fallapalooza, especially on the first day. There were a lot of royal fumbles on the first day, decided within the last 3 seconds. Obviously as a player, you kind of kick yourself because it goes any way and it's all just random and somebody's got to win. But
yeah,
they're super exciting to watch, and maybe we will see some of that in the finals.
Definitely exciting. And the one that the royal fumble that sticks out to me is KP grabbing it out of the scrum there last second, managing to clutch their way through round 1. It's just you hate the situation until the last 0.5 seconds, and then you're like, yes, and then as a competitor you're like, I still hate this. I still hate that I had to do this. Like, this game mode is not fun, but it is what it is. I hope it comes down to something a little bit more dare I say skill based at the end, but it's either way, I think it's going to be a banger of a series, and I can't wait to get started.
It always is. Even when we had a final in the last Fallapalooza, a situation that seemed like a blowout situation, Z-Gas was able to kind of just hit the gas and just charge back to a comeback. Not quite enough kudos in the end, but brought it really close to the end. So, that goes to show these 5 episodes really do matter. It doesn't matter how big of a lead you can get in the beginning. Anything is possible. You can come back, and hopefully we see some of that action in the finals here.
I can't believe Rapid winning Wolf is not going for Bert here, but I guess we'll let it slide this time. He did have the best spawn in the lobby. He was sort of that front right position with no NPC in front of him. He's taking a little bit of a long way around, and Nightwalker's actually going to use this as an opportunity to hit the Superman dive and maybe secure first here if he doesn't spaghetti. It is the Bonkus, but it's on a good cycle for him, and that is going to be first place for Nightwalker. Shud, I'm not sure about the delay here, but Shud is looking like his stream is a bit delayed, so he's not as far behind as I think he is. We see Shud qualifying on Wolf's screen right now. Looks like everybody got in top 10, which means silvers, gold, silvers all around. So early lead to positive vibes. Might as well just call it here. Positive vibes win. And see you guys later.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. You know what? I am a little bit upset with Rapid winning Wolf. Leaving my son out in the cold underneath the platform. You hate to see it. The opportunity arose in Fallapalooza, the finals, and you just left my son out to dry. But that's fine. I'm sure he'll find his way home or off the cliff eventually. It's to be expected.
It builds character, right? It builds character. Your son's going to be very self-sufficient after this.
Yes, hardened by his experiences.
Battle hardened in these cold winter lands. As we see, 43 going to be likely another race here. Early rounds, not much to talk about in the early rounds. We've talked. I've heard you guys talking about it on stream a couple times on the cast. It's sort of, the first 2 rounds of Fall Guys are kind of just like, well, if it's a rollout, maybe something. But I honestly don't think in the finals, if you get a rollout right here, I don't think anybody's going to do anything too crazy in the first round. There's just so much pressure. There's so much that could go wrong, and you don't want to start off on the wrong foot. And as I say that, commentators curse, we do get the rollout. So let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right or wrong here. See if they split off to their own sides.
We can hope so. As much as you say, like, they probably just want to play it safe, you want to get to an early lead, right? And I think the safest way that you can do that in the first couple episodes of a final is to just survive to the final and let the crown decide. But that doesn't mean that you can't play the way that we've been talking about before, right? Like, you got to play to catch your opponents off guard in these head-to-head situations. If you want to get the edge, you have to make those plays. And the players that do that come with like extraordinary results. We're talking like Fant and Chloe, as you were saying. They're the ones who kind of catch their opponents on their heels and make them run away or make them make the bad plays. Shud, I don't know what happened there, but Shud is in the slime, ladies and gentlemen.
Now that sounds
When did we miss that? Well, I missed that. Wait, what happened?
Ramen after this.
He's dead.
He's
That
just
is
gone.
crazy. Well, speaking of starting off on the right or wrong foot, he might have gone for something. Maybe he got. Seems like a blueberry ended his career, is what I'm reading. That is terrifying. That is not what you like to see if you're rapid winning wolf. That is easily the worst feeling in the entire universe. Having done this to Stu in one of our 2v2s that we played, I died on a roll off round 2. I didn't even get blueberried. I just spaghettied it, and it's just awful. You feel awful as a competitor. You feel awful for leaving your teammate in this position. But rapid winning wolf has it in it to clutch it, but he's up against some of the stiffest competition he's going to face in the tournament right now in Positive Vibes. You could see right away Freshy's getting over there. He's not, you know, he wants to push this advantage. Got to be careful he doesn't end up, you know, costing himself a little bit. But I think even if he suicides with him here, he's happy with that because Nightwalker's still in. So we'll see if anything happens. We're getting maybe close to the end of the round here. A couple of more NPCs in the slime, and we are donezo. But not the start that slime survivors are looking for.
Now, here's the story has always been anything is possible. We're talking about Team Slime Survivors, all right? If we look back to the very first episode of the very first round of Fallapalooza, these guys, Rapid Winning Wolf got Velhearted in the whirligig, dropped the very first episode, the very first game, but his teammate Shud was able to go to the end and win the crown anyways. It's not over, folks. It might look grim, but anything is possible.
Absolutely, and you know, there's a fine line between, you know, gaming it up and having a good time, and then getting caught a little bit hot dogging. How did we lose 20 players in that final? By the way, I'm very confused, or in that rollout, by the way. But either way, 23, not a team game more than likely. We're going to be seeing some wall guys here, known colloquially as qual guys. But I honestly don't know. Do you take the trade here? Do you just trade kill rapid winning wolf? Or do you take it to the final and hope it's a 2v1 jump showdown? I think that might be the better play, but we have seen locks before where, like, you know, like I referenced Essence on Ryan Bushman to keep Bushman out of the finals, and then Beartorf was able to clutch it out in 2 peas in a pod set versus the Bushman. It is a viable strategy, so we'll see if they'll take the more guaranteed win, or if they're going to have everybody in the finals and just roll the dice on it.
Yeah, what a play that was, too. I don't think I'll ever forget that. It'll go down in Fallapalooza history. The standoff, the 1v1 where, you know, neither of us can let go because it opens up the position for the other player to take advantage. Look at this, though. Nightwalker speed running the level, just handily getting the gold medal. And suddenly the NPCs causing problems here, pulling the block away that allowed access to the next part of the stage in the yellow zone. So Freshy's making his way up. He's going to be okay, but it's Rapid Winning Wolf who's caught in behind the yellow. Luckily, the NPCs are as well, so hopefully enough time to catch up here a bit.
And he's got a bit of a gamer path over here with the tallest blocks. He's going to be able to... commentator's curse. He is...
coming in strong there, yep.
Yeah, I actually just straight hex that man into the next dimension, but he's going to be okay here. The thing about the block pushing strategy, right, and everybody starts to panic and you get that really nervous sort of like, oh my god, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? Just remember that everybody else is trapped back there with you. So all it really is doing, unless you're way behind, is really just delaying the round. So the important thing that Rapid Winning Wolf, he didn't lose his composure, he didn't panic, he didn't try and do anything too crazy and get caught up in a desync tornado. He was just like, okay, I just got to take my time, be patient, wait for the next thing to come down. And he does get a pink medal here, I think. Yep. So gold, silver to pink. That is a painful medal swing. That is a 5 medal swing. And since he doesn't have his teammate in there either, that's like a 300 kudos difference in that one round alone almost.
Huge.
That's awful. That is not good. Now he almost has to win just to break even.
I think you're right about that. You know, if he wins the crown in this final upcoming, then he could be looking at a lead for his team, of course, but a Freezy Peak enters the fray as well, so more kudos swinging in Positive Vibes direction before we get to a final here, folks.
Yep. With rollout being round 2, that eliminates a lot of the lobby, so you see these lower pop. This is going to be a 7 qual, or an 8 qual, excuse me. But yeah, that's a little spooky. That's a little spooky if you're Team Slime Survivors, because that ends up giving Positive Vibes, like you said, an even bigger buffer. And you really don't want that. At this point, honestly, with the way that the kudos have been swinging, if he gets another pink medal to like a gold silver again, he has to win just to keep them close. I don't even think a win at this point would actually like a win of the episode would put them in the lead. So it's getting dire. It's not a good start. Not a good start for game 1.
anything can happen. You know, we're in the punchers here. Rapid Winning Wolf can take Freshie by surprise here if he's able to catch up. Not able to though. Has to watch out for Nightwalker coming in behind as well, just to be safe. Freshie doesn't even care. Freshie's going for that gold medal, bringing in more kudos for his team. Not going to be wasting time. Yeah.
Hitting him with a honk. Okay, a little disrespect. Securing the mental advantage, as we call it. You know, just sort of being like, hey, man, you want this?
Can't
So
have it.
gold, bronze. Oh, yeah, that is still another big swing.
Big lead here with the crown.
Little BM from the Positive Vibes team here, just to, you know, again, like you said, solidify the mental advantage. 8-person qualifying going into the finals here now.
How much of your positive vibes do you just want to see a fall ball?
Oh
But
man,
that-
just
that
extend
would
that
actually be-
kudos lead.
Especially if you can, it's 4v4. You might be able to squeeze out a gold. That is, we are going to get a final. Thin ice. Okay, I think this is low key one of the easiest finals to 1v2 in, other than
Might be
other
right.
than Hexagon maybe. Yeah, just because there's so much space and there's so much stuff you can do, and if somebody charges at you and they're just following you around, you can just run at their teammate, and all of a sudden you're all in a big, you know, sort of desync tornado waiting to happen. Hitting him with the wave. Okay. Okay, we're still confident. I like the fact that Rapid Winning Wolf is still showing confidence here. He's not showing that he's scared. He's not intimidated. He's not just running away. He's like, fine, grab me. See what happens.
Very calm. Freshie is
Exactly.
right up in his face, and he's not even like trying to resist. He's just staying put, staying strong, just saying, you know what, you can do that all you want. I know that I can get away at the right moment to, you know, you're basically just wasting your time.
Absolutely. And then, of course, they get to the last tile, and both of them are hitting the X button as hard as they possibly can to get out of that hole. But it is funny to see the posturing. It's funny to see people sort of project this image of like, ah, you can't touch me. And then when it actually gets down, they're like, ah, they got to just get out of there as quickly as they can.
Absolutely.
So it looks like, so if I'm Rapid Winning Wolf here, I'm actually just tunnel visioning Nightwalker 100% of the time if Freshie's going to play like this. Because all you're doing is just making them have more opportunity to sort of get themselves. It looks like there's like a weird cutoff happening right now. This is splitting the map. Not my favorite strat if you're a solo. If you're on a team, it's a little bit better. But I think at some point, Nightwalker's play here is actually run all this out and just prevent Rapid Winning Wolf from going to the other side. Run all of it out and burn the bridge as you go across.
We've seen these team plays from Positive Vibes before. It actually helped them solidify their victories in the Bean Brawl tournament of the last weekend. Have one of your teammates on an isolated island while all the rest of your team runs out the spaces and prevents that from happening. So you can see the split is happening here. It's not working as cleanly as it has in the past for them, though. There's some NPCs over by Freshie eating away the tiles there. So if, you know, it looks like Rapid Winning Wolf is actually going to be able to separate himself a little bit. Oh, but Nightwalker's right on his tail.
This is terrifying. He should get over. Yep. This is really smart. He's actually got excellent vision there from Rapid Winning Wolf. Now, I don't know how Nightwalker is going to be faring on the other side, but if Rapid Winning Wolf... Oh, what a pop! He's actually... I think he caught him on the jump. If you jump out of and you get popped at the same time, you just get launched. Look like what happened there. So Nightwalker, all he has to do really is just, you know, run this out, get this NPC out of here, and then it's going to be on Freshie in the 1v1. Oh, actually, Freshie took out his man. So this is it. This is it. That's it.
There it is.
Wow. Excellently played around. Really pushing that 2v1 advantage from Positive Vibes, taking game one. This is going to be a really disgusting kudos advantage. Like, I'm going to ballpark it somewhere in like 1100 maybe range. What do you think?
Yeah, like a crown and a half perhaps we're looking at here because, you know, Shud went down real early. Round 2 roll off. That's all it really takes to kind of start accumulating those kudos against the other team. So yeah, it's going to be a huge deficit, but good team plays from the Positive Vibes, knowing exactly where they needed to be. The communication was there the whole time. They were talking about which side of the platform they needed to be on and what they needed to do. It was just very, very stellar teamwork. And you, again, like I said, they did this in the Bean Brawl as well. They really know how to work the teams in those thin ices. So if they keep seeing thin ice, they're probably going to have the advantage just on that teamwork alone.
Absolutely. Playing it in a squad does feel a little bit different than playing it in a duo. Spider on my wall. I hate that. But yeah, it definitely does help you. It gives you sort of an insight into it. Certain strategies are much more effective when you can split it into a 3-on-3-and-1 kind of parties, like you were saying they were doing in Bean Brawl, where they would just cut off an island for their one guy, let him just jump it out by himself, and then try and just absolutely lawnmower all the other ice into the ground. But the even in 2v2 you can get some strats. But you know, Rapid Winning Wolf, trying his best there. He managed to make it over to Freshie. Almost had it, but Freshie with a really nice grab. I think Rapid Wolf might have tried to jump out of it, and if you do that on the ice, you just absolutely get launched. So unfortunate for them, but that is a textbook way of how you play that round. If you have an early exit from one of your opponents, if you're positive vibes, you absolutely throttle them out of all their kudos. And look at that, 1,230 kudos difference after one round. That is absolutely disgusting. Now we have 4 games, probably going to be a jump showdown there at some point. But it's still that's daunting. That's daunting. You pretty much have to win 2 games to be back in it if you're Slime Survivors.
Now, Team Slime Survivors, not a stranger to this playing from behind, kind of playing in panic mode situation here. If you look at the history that they've had just in this tournament alone, they know how to make the comebacks happen. And I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to make the best of their next couple rounds, shake it off as they have done in the past. And also to mention that, you know, Team Slime Survivors finally going down in a slime-based final for the first time this entire tournament as well, keeping up with the lore a little bit here. So maybe Positive Vibes have found a weakness.
That's very true. Ironically, Shud did die on a rollout, so that is, you know, you hate to see that one. The Slime Survivor moniker maybe a little bit unjustly, but you know that he's unbound all of his emotes because I think he got caught hot dogging by a blueberry. So hopefully he's unbound all of his emotes and he's going to keep his left hand on his control stick and not on his D-pad. But yeah, I think, you know, you just got to do a mental reset. There's still 4 games to play, plenty of time. Like I said, if they win 2 games and perform decently well in races, they're definitely just right back in it. They're probably in the lead at that point. So, but they really have to tighten up the races. Like, of course, you want to win games. You want to win the crowns. Those are the big money. You know, that's over 50% of your kudos stack right there. But the important thing to remember is that there is also this supplementary kudos influx through races. And the fact that they were getting demolished so hard in all the races, even if they win a whole bunch of games, it's going to make it really hard. So step 1, 1 race at a time. Nice and easy. Slow it down. You see that night fever, you visualize your route, you go for it. You know, stuff like that. Try and get those golds. Every gold you make is just a chip you're taking away from your opponent's lead. So it's going to be slow, it's going to be methodical, but you can't expect everything at once. It's going to be a grind.
Exactly. Bring it back in every way that you can. And it might be a 1,200 kudos deficit, you know? I think that Freshie, or even Nightwalker, barely is just under the amount of kudos that both of those players have combined. And he was the, you know, he didn't win the crown in that episode. So, like, there's a huge discrepancy here in the kudos. But 2 crowns coming from Team Slime Survivors brings him right back into it. So.
And this is why the kudos format, in my opinion, is one of the most pure competitive formats, because if you have the whole the point system that's used in squads tournaments, which is excellent for squads tournaments, it's good because it's, you know, asynchronous. You're not competing directly. It's more PvE style.
Yeah,
so
it's
I think
fair.
the point system works well. But what ends up happening is if I go out on a round 1 DoorDash and you go out on a round 4 Tiptoe, we both get punished the same.
Yep.
Whereas in this format, you go out on that round 2 rollout, all of a sudden you get punished so much harder for not making it to the final, which I think is a much more fair. And so when you have control like this, where you have competitors in both, you know, both the competitors in the same lobby able to influence each other's gameplay, I think it's a much more pure competitive format for sure.
I agree. I think my favorite thing about the kudos format, or any just scoring formats in general, especially in the head-to-head, is that you're not just being you're not being rewarded specifically for just the finals or specifically for getting the crown. You're being rewarded for your play throughout all facets of the game in all respects.
Agreed. Your mastery of the game is extremely well represented in a kudos format versus simply a points format. Of course, you know, points format absolutely necessary for squads because it is that PvE sort of asynchronous style gameplay. But kudos definitely just feels better as a competitor, and that's why I think 2v2 and solo squads tournaments like the Trip and Fall Mania are very fun for a lot of competitors, at least myself. But yeah, as we get into the Whirly gig here, hopefully we're not going to see anybody get... Is it Velhearted? Is that the thing where you get the glitch there and it completely ruins you?
Yep, the Velheart glitch here, where if you, especially it happens specifically on this level, if you try and take the left or the right path and then dive into the middle, you can see some problems. You grab a ledge, you get sent back to the beginning, and you can see Shud is getting battered around, not going to even bother trying to dive into the middle platform there, going to just go around. You saw that he kind of like put his hands out to try and grab the ledge and thought better of it because he doesn't want to go back to the beginning.
Yep. you pretty much you really have to hope that if that happens to you in tournament, this is why I advocate practicing stuff that seems useless. That the pinch tech to get the creative use of the level to get out of the map early on in the level. It's something that I practice a lot, just in case. You know, you never know when you could use it to snag a cheeky gold in a tournament. You also never know when you're going to get Valharded, and it's a nice backup for that. Being able to pinch yourself out of the map, get that respawn, get all the way forward, definitely helps a lot. So it's of course it's scary to do, and you're going to throw a lot of rounds doing it. But if you're getting whirligig, it's something that I would definitely recommend practicing if you're a competitor, because you never know what it's going to save your skin, just like the DoorDash glitch.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, you know, when you think of like last resort tactics, usually you're thinking about using the big yeetus, for example. That's like, I'm pretty sure why the developers put the yeet in as like a last resort technique, but we've mastered that and we've kind of incorporated it into how to get ahead in situations. But then you look at these like creative use of the levels, as we're talking about, sometimes they can be used as a last resort, and we haven't had to see it yet. I think it's a very fringe case, but always good to have in your back pocket. And that's why these top players are going for stuff like that in their casual play, because you never know. You never know.
Absolutely. Even if you miss it the first time, you're like, well, no PB on this level, but that's fine. Like, let's go ahead and practice this tech. And it's nice because it's a first round thing. You can try it. If you lose, it's not like you just spent 5-10 minutes in a round and then you're throwing it. But as you see, Nightwalker kind of struggling right out of the gate here. I'm more of an advocate of going down the side. I usually do a 5 and 10 route where I go right down the side the first time. Nightwalker getting bounced again. This is going to be interesting to see where it goes in terms of medals. But we do see Freshie snagging the gold. That's pretty huge. We're looking at maybe a couple silvers and stuff. So people get the glitch a lot on this map. The one where you go through the ending and you don't get your points. A little PSA for folks. Try and limit your speed as you're going through the ring. That's the most consistent way I've found. I've never gotten the glitch since day one of 3.5. So I try and hold my dive super late, make sure that I'm using it to reset my vertical momentum so I'm not flying through the ring at Mach 10. And I think that usually is the difference maker. I've been able to avoid it basically for the last couple weeks. But as we see all of our competitors qualifying here, not that we assumed they wouldn't, but looks like we're all in.
And yeah, and I think you are right about that for sure. I think it might have something to do with just like the frame speed. You like pass the barrier so fast that it doesn't even register or something like that. The best way to avoid that is to just dive. Diving seems to be a pretty safe way to secure your points in the skee ball portion of the level. So just dive, and you usually are able to get away just fine. Other best thing you can do is maybe aim for the edges of the ring so that you kind of have to bounce in. Takes away all your speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely a bit of an annoyance, but yeah, something to do with the server refresh rate. Maybe, I'm not sure. But 22 qual here. We're not likely to. Well, we're not going to see a team game here. That's not a number you can get it on. But what are we going to get? Do you want to see? What do you want to see if you're slime survivors? Do you want to see if you have a chance to take them out? Do you want to wait one more game, maybe see if you can win this one, claw your way back? Snowball, survival dangers.
This is a good one. I think Team Slime survivors, if they're going to survive the slime in this one, maybe try and make it so that their opponents don't survive the slime is the best option for your team right now. This is where you got to break out all the stops. You're behind by so much. Maybe you got to do something risky. Maybe you got to try one of these new strategies to use this level to get your opponents out somehow.
Absolutely. It's such an interesting dynamic. And this is why these tournaments are so cool, is because do I keep waiting and I try and wait for them? A lot of players just tend to like to wait for their team or opponents to make mistakes, but you're in the finals, man. You can't just be counting on your opponents to drop random stuff. If it happens, it happens. It happens to the best of us and the worst of us, but I wouldn't use that as a strategy. I like to have a little bit more agency in my gameplay. As we see, everybody doing all right. Looks like the outer ring of the map is still fairly intact. There's a couple chunks taken out of it, but nothing too scary. A lot of collisions, though. Interestingly, a lot of collisions happening as Freshie just absolutely launches Rapid Winning Wolf up the side of the level there. That's kind of a strange push.
Oh, some weird bounces by the snowballs. Freshie was standing in like just the right spot to get to avoid all of the contact of the snowballs there. I think everybody's going to be holding on, but Freshie, I like what Freshie did there. Freshie used the remaining ice tiles, kind of just like popped Rapid Winning Wolf onto the ice tiles to kind of make him make a decision. That's obviously didn't really factor into eliminations or anything like that. Team Slime Survivors choosing to play it safe, and now everybody's moving on to the next round.
Absolutely. And It feels like, I'm not sure, I'd have to test this more, but it feels like as you go from, a regular friction tile to an ice tile, you sort of get like almost a speed boost, and it kind of launches you a little bit farther. But it definitely a scary moment. And again, yeah, Freshie getting in there being like, hey, like you can't just forget about me. You have to be thinking. You can't just be looking at the snowballs. I'm gonna give you two more things to worry about in this lobby. You already have these giant snowballs rolling around that are gonna pinch you to Mars. You have to worry about us too getting in there and maybe preventing you from making a jump or preventing you from doing something. As we see everybody's favorite season 3 map, Snowy Scrap, back again. It heard the call for the encore, the roaring accolades from the fans, and we're going to get just an excellent team game here as we see Red kind of struggling to get their ball out of the ramp here, but we're rolling.
We are rolling, and we're on our way, going directly over to those punching fists. It's probably the most solid strategy that you can use to pick up snow really quickly is just drive the snowball over to the side, let the punchers punch it back into the middle for a lot of easy snow. Looks like red team's not going to have any problem keeping and maintaining a lead here. Blue team kind of falling behind. I wonder if any of these players is going to kind of take the hit and go and try and grief to secure the win, but it might not even need to be done.
Yeah, I think they're about 30% up on blue right now, and it's interesting to see just the difference in strategy, because last time we saw a Snowy Scrap in the other set, we had one player from each team. We had two players out of the four. Half the lobby, half of their team was dedicated to griefing. As we see Nightwalker just staying out there, playing outfield, sort of catching the ball and directing it gently to where it needs to be next. So it's interesting to see, like, there's so many different strategies and so much room for stuff. It's just the map is so unfortunate. I haven't seen the spinning disc in the middle variation recently. I wonder if they hotfixed it out, because that is one of the slower maps or slower versions of the map to play, just because the spinning disc makes it so hard to push your ball.
Take half of the snow out of the level as well, so
Yeah,
you
true.
get punched into the middle, and then you just spin around forever. And yeah, who knows? I haven't seen it in a while, but if Mediatonic is listening, maybe just get it out.
Get it out. Get him out. Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where, in theory, it's a great idea, but it just didn't. I don't think in practice it ended up working out that well. As we see blue kind of getting owned by this one or a couple little yellow members, but there's like three yellow team members here and only one on their ball. Don't know if that's a winning strategy, folks, but we will see. And again, if both balls stalemate, blue wins, and even if they don't, blue's probably going to win. So it's going to take a miracle. And we're just kind of hoping these NPCs sort of stop delaying the tournament and let's get on with the show, please.
Do these guys realize that there's $1,000 on the line?
I can guarantee that they do not, but I wish they did.
Make sure everybody in the stream, make sure you tell at least one friend or family member that Fallapalooza 3 is happening live at twitch.tv/dangerous, folks. They don't want to miss it. Let's take a look at positive vibes here. The father and son combination we got going on.
Actually, so true. I mean, Nightwalker, obviously an incredibly caring dad, loves his family very much. Even if it's Freshie isn't his blood family, I'm sure he has a similar sort of affection for him. And, I thought it was really cool. I didn't know that about Freshie, that he had graduated on an esports scholarship playing Hearthstone. We got a very accomplished gamer here at the collegiate level, so that's pretty amazing too.
I didn't even know they had sponsorships for gaming.
So. Yeah, right. Canada problems, SMH. But so I've heard a couple of them. When I was into Rocket League, a couple of friends of mine were trying to apply for scholarships. I don't know how widely they were received, but I mean that's pretty cool, and that's such a cool thing. As we get into a jump showdown, this is what you want to see for slime survivors. This is a big chance. Big chance.
If both of them survive the slime, that puts them right back into it, folks.
Oh, they grabbing.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right, Rapid Winning Wolf, did you not see what happened to Shud? Unbind the D-pad. Just don't touch it. Focus on the game, my guy. As we see, I like the separation. I like that even though the two tiles is likely to be not the safe place to be, I like that they're separated one-on-one. Rapid Winning Wolf kind of playing this pretty risky here.
Big grabs by Freshie. Oh, now look at this. 2v1 on this platform. Does Rapid Winning Wolf try and make the jump across? Oh, look at this. Caught on a bad cycle. You can see.
Oh, wait.
Really unfortunate. Both of them are able to jump across, so now it's just Shud by himself against both of the positive vibes. They're separated right now.
And with that horse getting swept into the slime like that, they literally have the free double crown. It's one of those things where the play to get onto Rapid Winning Wolf was excellent. Really smart play. But the thing, they got incredibly lucky here, because if this had been the tile that dropped, all of a sudden Shud has the 1v0 and he's just
Oh,
against the competitors.
are they still okay? Wait, Shud is up behind, so I kind of freaked out there for a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 2v1 situation. The Cuphead is in the slime, Mugman's in the slime. So yeah, it's just one person on Team Slime Survivors on one side, the two positive vibes on the other. Now, this is such a weird circumstance. If we time this out, if all three of our players make it through this jump showdown, it's as if positive vibes won the crown. You know, the two crowns are going to cancel each other out, and positive vibes are going to have the advantage here.
Exactly. And like I said, it was a very good play. I like the play to go for rapid winning wolf there, but they got incredibly lucky that their tile stayed up, because unless they're very fluent in doing the bar hop all the way over the bear torv jump, I don't think, like, that could have been disastrous. It would have been a 1v0 for Shud and he would have had the crown for free. But, you know, again, they made a hard play. It worked out for them. They got a little bit of Fall Guys luck on their side, and now we can see it's just a timeout. Now Shud really has to have iron will here. He cannot drop this. If he drops this, that is a massive kudos swing, and even over 3 games, that is going to be very hard to come back from. So this is really on Shud to keep his team even within striking distance. Even though the lead will grow and it'll slip away from them a bit, he needs to do damage control right now. Huge.
Yeah, 2.5 crowns. Obviously, kudos difference is much more manageable mountain to climb than 3.5 crowns. So this is going to be a big deal if Shud is able to just kind of hold on and jump it out against Nightwalker and Freshie, who, again, we're kind of in that awkward territory right now. We're kind of in like the 2 to 3 minute mark of this jump showdown, which is probably the hardest when it comes to timing. The bar is starting to speed up, though, a little bit and get your timing better.
Yeah, yeah, definitely more out of the woods. You can see Freshie's playing the sort of interior line here, closer to the center of the bar. That's definitely the trickier place to play, because you don't have as much wiggle room a lot of the time as you do on the outside, because the bar is spinning a little bit quicker on the outside. But yeah, this is looking dire. I think if you're Shud, you just have to really focus up and not think too much about what's going on. You just have to think, one jump at a time, one bar cycle at a time, and you got to do this for the next 3 minutes.
3 minutes is all it's going to take. And yeah, now interesting to see is that the platforms are one across from another, just like last time. So the cycles that they're going to get with the bars is going to be the same. There's a bit of a disadvantage on the positive vibe side, though, because you do have to vie for a little bit of space with your teammate. Make sure you stay out of their way. But that gives Freshie less platform to deal with. And you see it almost actually kind of takes out Nightwalker there with just a poor judgment in timing. But they're both okay. They're both surviving.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing how many cycles you can take, and this is where it starts, as the bar speeds up, it starts to get a little bit easier. It's scary though. It's still scary. And I think if you're rapid winning wolf, only thing you can do is pray to the same deity that Trip Hop and Puffly were praying to when we had Paleo choke one of these similar situations where it could have been a double crown. So fingers crossed, that's about all you could do. Just stay out of the way of your teammate comms wise and let him focus and hope for the best. I think after this, though, I think that with 3 games left and a 2.5 crown deficit, I think you have to start being very, very aggressive if you're slime survivors, because you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you mess up, I mean, you're already down 2.5 crowns with only 3 games to go. That's a hard deficit to come back from. You'd have to win 3 straight just to break even crown wise, So I think you have to start going for some stuff.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. You got to try and get positive vibes out early, because they're not going to drop these crowns. You can see they're keeping solid in all of these finals. And here it is, the triple crown. Now, it took us until Fallapalooza 2, the grand finals, to ever see a double crown in a tournament setting. But now, in Fallapalooza 3, we've seen the double crown come out not once, twice, or 3 times, but also a triple crown in this grand final, folks.
Yeah, have we ever seen that in tournament before? Seeing like both teams get a crown, at least one crown in a final? I don't think that's ever been seen.
I can recall one time. Do you remember when
really?
Jump Showdown slowed down?
Oh yeah.
So I was in a tournament I was called Wisdom GG, and I was on a team with I think Fi and Philly Fan. And we got into a situation where it was me and Velhart and Grand Pooh Bear were on the other side. Exact same situation. I had to kind of make a risky play to stay on a solo platform. They got separated from me. The bar was moving at like 1 mile an hour. So we were able to time it out really easy for a 3-way crown, but it doesn't happen very often, that's for sure.
That's definitely a new one for me. I've never seen that in tournament before, so that's pretty exciting. So I think we're going to see that kudos lead balloon by another 800, maybe even 900 kudos. Unlucky, but again, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like if they make that play, and it goes the other way, that's a terrible play. But they make the right play. Positive Vibes does. They calculate their aggression, they get involved, and it works out for them. And all of a sudden, boom! Look at that lead. All of a sudden, we're over 2,000 kudos lead, 2,035. That is an absolutely monstrous lead to come back from in 3 games, considering 3 crowns would only put you at like 2,200, 2,205 or something like that. So that is monstrous. So you're going to really have to start doing something, I think, if you're Slime Survivors. But, throw it back to FallapaTWOza. We did see a very similar situation where a kudos lead ballooned out of nowhere, and then there was everybody started eating spaghetti at the same time, and sort of it went back and forth, and people were dropping out. People were almost not qualling on Gate Crash. People were dying on DoorDash. So you never know. It's not over till it's over, of course. But it's looking pretty dire. I think if you're Slime Survivors, you have to make an adjustment.
AAA in the chat saying I'm having flashbacks. Pretty similar situation that we have here. Interesting thing to see here. Usually you see scores that are like 400, 500 with 1,200 score with the crown, but opposite story is true in round 2. We have 4 crowns in 2 episodes in this grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Team Slime Survivors, like you said, they've got to be the ones who bring the crowns back and kind of climb out of this one, because the kudos deficit is closer to 3 crowns than it is to 2. They could win the next 2 games. They could win the next 2 crowns and still not be quite in the power seat, right? So they got to start eliminating positive vibes early. They got to start getting aggressive.
Absolutely. Even with those 2 crowns, even if they get the 2 crowns, if they still get outperformed in races as much as they have been, they're still over a crown down, maybe even 1,000 kudos down at that point. So I think if you're feeling like you're struggling on the races, you got to hit them where it hurts. You got to go for the shins on a rollout or something like that. You have to try and maybe play hyper aggressive on your next snowball survival, break all the tiles, try and get somebody hit by a snowball just on the off chance, right? You have to start playing hyper aggressive and taking more risks, because if you don't, you're just going to quietly go into the night. I would much rather see the team go out with a bang, try and make something happen and fail in a spectacular blaze of glory, rather than seeing them sort of whimper in and just sort of have a 2 kudos disadvantage for the rest of the set.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, worst case scenario, these teams have made it to the finals. They're going to be looking at at least a 2nd place prize, which is nothing to sneeze at. But
absolutely not.
Why not try and give it your all regardless? You've still got 3 episodes to make a name for yourself. Plenty of time to still catch up. Let's see it. And I think the most important time to do that is when they least expect it. Me and Fur, when we did duos tournaments together, the one episode, the one match that we tried to think of to grief our opponents the most was some of those like race games that you don't really expect, some of the low qual ones. So things like Freezy Peak, things like Slime Climb, catching your opponents off guard with some of the obstacles in that level to get an edge and maybe even eliminate one of them.
I don't want to reveal too much tech here, but I've been working on something for a couple weeks. Gate Crash. 2nd round Gate Crash, I think, has potential. If you're next to your opponent, you pants him going over that gap, he might not qual. So it's definitely one of those things where you can find these little things. DoorDash, you pants somebody and they get caught in a desync tornado and don't make it through a door. Any of these 1st round races that are sort of clumped together like that, you definitely have a chance. And I think it's important to start taking those chances if you are on the side of Slime Survivors, because your slime survival rate has not been great today. So maybe it's time to bust out the race slayers or something as a name. Maybe don't use that one, actually, now that I say it out loud. Sounded better in my head. But yeah, I think it'd be definitely important to start really playing aggressive here and trying to figure out new and creative ways. And I think as a throwback, we saw Fur yesterday. Fur is usually the one where we were talking, or I heard you guys talking about it in cast, and I know we were talking about it in the call. Fur's not usually the aggressor. He'll usually play, and he plays his game, and he plays very consistently, and that's his MO. But we saw in the roll-off, you don't expect it. So all of a sudden, he smashes some dude into a wall and manages to take the win, or manages to get a nice grief or something like that, because you're just not expecting it. You're like, okay, it's going to come from Fant. Fant's the guy. Fant's the guy who can take you out on a hexagon when you're not expecting it. He's the guy. He's won a Fall Mania, blah, blah, blah. And then you got Fur, who's just like, yep, and then he shivs you in the ribs when you're not looking.
Exactly. It maybe the reputation plays into your advantage in these situations. Maybe you build a reputation for being kind of a quiet, calculated and just an executioner, I guess, not necessarily of other beans, but of just what you need to do, and then you catch them by surprise when it matters most in these big tournaments. That's sometimes what you got to do, I think.
I think conditioning, conditioning is a concept that anybody from the fighting game community is going to be very, very familiar with. But any competitive format, Fall Guys, even if it's this, baby bean game that we play together, conditioning is super important. You can play with somebody a lot, you can teach them your habits, and then you break them when you need to. So we're getting into a gate crash. I mean, I know it's first round. You'd have to probably get a couple pairs of pants on the guy before you could really take him out of contention here. But maybe they'll try something like that. I have no idea. Let's see.
Only time will tell. And yeah, we get a gate crash first round here. First round races, with the exception of maybe DoorDash, you usually expect all of our participants to cross the finish line. But, got to pull out all the stops anyway. You got to see, maybe you can disrupt the medals at least. Get the medals advantage. The medals are what matters here for Team Slime survivors. You got to bring those back.
And look at that. Oh, yeah. Freshie went for it. He went a little bit early, but he did go for it. He went for the exact same thing I was talking about there. He figured he'd try and take him out. And like you said, even if you don't knock them out of the round, getting an extra medal here or there, cementing your lead if you're positive vibes, or clawing back if you're slime survivors, any of that little stuff helps. Not to mention the mental advantage. It's just so secured at that point. You're in that guy's head rent-free at that point.
Exactly. And that's honestly, to me, is the biggest contributor, because if you're making the grabs, even if they don't mean anything, you automatically kind of put that perspective into their minds. You're making them think that you're going to do it again at any moment, even if it doesn't matter, even if it does, right? So they have to think. They have to be watching their backs more than they maybe even need to. Getting their mind like that is a really good play for Fall Guys.
Absolutely huge. And I love the fact that Freshie went for that. We talked about, the team up ahead, maybe letting off the gas a little bit and sort of being like, okay, let's just protect our lead. And Freshie's like, no, I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to keep taking it to you. You're going to have to remember that I'm here the whole time. No free rounds. You're going to have to be constantly and he's mentally taxing them, because in a longer set like this, you sort of start being like, damn, like, when are these guys going to let up? Like, give me some space to breathe. And he's just slowly suffocating them out with his constant aggression. He's not giving them room to breathe. If you're aggressing on somebody, they can't really aggress on you with the same efficacy that they could as if you were just playing passively. So I really love to see that from Freshie, and it's what we were talking about earlier.
It's a winning strategy.
So we do have the Yeetus. Let's see Nightwalker actually just take this all the way to the finish line somehow and then get immediately banned. Here we go. What a way for the tournament to end that would be, eh? Mediatonic just like, nope, you're done. Who's watching Fallapalooza? Not you guys.
Not you guys. Get him out.
Get him out.
And very surprising that Nightwalker didn't even try to attempt the yeet here. He just went ahead and just ran forward. Shud caught up a little bit with the yeet, as you could see, but it is going to be Nightwalker taking away the gold medal here anyways.
Yep, and if you can actually see like the instant replay, look at the desync difference, right? Nightwalker was right next to Shud on his screen, and on Shud's screen, Shud's like a mile ahead of him and gets spaghetti armed. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And as just even a casual player, understanding the desync and understanding where people are, where the server thinks they are versus where they are on your screen is massively important. That's what causes so much confusion on stuff like Fall Mountain, where you're like, but I grabbed the crown first, and you hit him with the but on my screen. But it really is like objects in the mirror are so much closer than they appear in this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, no kidding. It really does come into play, and the desync is huge. Yeah, understanding it, using it to your advantage even is like what can set some of these competitive players ahead. There's some really good clips out there of you, actually, in particular, using the desync on things like Jump Showdown to just, you don't even need to hold your hands out. You don't even need to look at them. You can kind of just jump in their general vicinity and just get them out that way.
Yeah, exactly. The desync is an incredibly powerful tool, and it's one of those things where we look at it and like, it's high ping in this game is basically an advantage in a lot of ways. You can grab from farther away, you can grab at different timings and stuff. You can't be grabbed as easily because your ping is so crazy high. It's one of those things where, and the clip in reference, I believe on Jump Showdown, where Chewy and I combo desynced a guy where we both did the same thing. I sort of pool shotted Chewy into this guy and literally knocked him off the platform, and there was nothing he could do to avoid it other than not be near us at the time. So it's one of those things where it's a bit of a yikes, and it's something that I think Mediatonic should look into. But of course, I mean, that's a bit down the road. But as we come into a ski fall, and this has been Freshie's map. I think he's gotten first. Is this our third ski fall of the finals? We've had one in every game, I feel.
I think you might be right.
And he's gotten first in both of the previous ones. Doesn't look like he's off to a great start this time, unfortunately, but he's been definitely carrying the team in this map, absolutely crushing it.
Little commentator's curse coming in there as soon
Yep,
as we
there it
praise
is.
Freshie. He slams his face directly in the wheels. So, I mean, he's got a little bit of catch up to do. Rapid winning Wolf in the bottom left corner is at 10 points. Nightwalker in the top right, 10 points. NPC, though, grabbing the crown by the looks of things.
I got the glitch again. Bad, man.
Positive vibes getting the glitch. You can hear Nightwalker saying that he keeps getting the glitch in the final ring. Slow down, Nightwalker. Slow down. Take a dive. Make sure that you're in the ring, calm, cool, and collected. Just qualify however you need to here.
Yep, he's diving. From my perspective, obviously, I'm not sure, but he's diving a little bit early. You want to save it until as late as you possibly can, until you're basically about to go into the ring. As we see Freshie barely squeaking that one out. The guy who was getting gold every single time has slipped to a pink medal there. So that's definitely commentator's curse. That's my bad. But either way, all the competitors making it through, and it looks like, I think if you're positive vibes, you probably just want to see a fall ball here, right? Fall ball into a final.
Definitely going to be some sort of team game by those numbers. The odds are just stacked in that favor.
Ugh. Sorry. Very exciting egg scramble that we're about to play here. I can't wait to watch one team get absolutely bullied into the floor. But this is good. I mean, either way, you're positive vibes want to see team games. When you have a lead, you want to see a team game because it's kudos neutral. If you lose, it's good, and if you win, it's good. So it doesn't really matter. This is 3 outcomes or 2 outcomes for you, and both of them are perfect.
I mean, if you win, it's good. If you lose, it's even better. But Fallapalooza rules. Make sure that you guys are keeping aware that no team game throwing is going to be happening here for positive vibes, even though they know it would be advantageous to eliminate a final. We want to see those hype moments. It doesn't help the competition to kind of use a team game to your advantage, essentially. So we will be seeing these players probably just dominating. Looks like the yellow team. The yellow team is the intended target here.
I would love to see these players practice little jump shots. You can do some crazy stuff if you grab, jump, and dive in like a bop, bop, bop kind of rhythm. You can get that sort of weird thing where the egg throw kind of cancels your dive and makes you stand back up immediately. So it looks like you just took a sick jump shot and going for the 3-pointer. But it looks like we're just doing it the old-fashioned way. Poor yellow team, man. It's always yellow, isn't it? No wonder the meme is still alive and well. Just we keep having tournaments and teams are just not ending up on yellow, and it's hard to watch. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. This would be happening in a normal game anyway. So, and look at the convoy at the top. Patty caking. Shud's got it. Shud, unbind your emotes, man.
Yeah.
Especially not that one. Come on, you guys are gesturing, dude. Oh,
they're gesturing, dude. When it makes my blood boil when I see the gesture. I feel like the gesture is as a streamer anyway, I'm gonna cause problems on purpose emote. But that could just be me.
It's literally just the look at me emote, and it tilts me off the face of the planet. But
totally,
it is what it is. What can you do? It's everybody really loves that emote. I'm not sure why, but either way, it looks like red's probably going to take gold here, or at the very least silver. Yellow's got a solitary egg. Never mind. Yep, they have a solitary egg. They're just trying to do what they can as we look at Shud and Rapid winning Wolf here. So Shud used to speedruns all the Tomb Raider games, which I think is super interesting. I don't really think of Tomb Raider as speed games, which of course, that's dumb because every game is a speed game if you try hard enough. But It is really cool to see, I heard you and Neon talking about it very frequently about the fact that speedrunning is such a viable skill set in this game, and it's actually super beneficial in a lot of ways.
Yep. One of the biggest tournament winners, Chewy Louie, coming from a speedrun background as well. I think that this game just kind of appeals to the speedrunner instinct for a number of different reasons. Obviously the playing the game over and over and over again and trying to improve, whether it be in your times or in your performance. It taps right into the speedrunner mentality.
Absolutely. And of course, playing the same map over and over again probably does the same thing as well, as you definitely sort of get used to it, and you can iron out your principles here and get everything ready as we get right into this hexagon. Hexagon is probably easily one of the most interesting it's the most interesting final in my opinion to begin with, but it's also one of the more interesting finals as far as from team play because there's so much room for skill expression. Jump Showdown is still a lot of skill expression, but it is at the end of the day, it's just grab me better than I grab you. This is so much like you can do so many different things. You can go from different vantage points. We see Nightwalker taking a little bit of a Susie slide there down back onto the orange. And everybody's sort of at similar levels. Shud's a bit up, but I'm assuming that's his delay. I see him on Nightwalker's screen. Everybody's kind of just running it out. We got a lot of NPCs trying to get their steps in, trying to close the circles on their Apple Watch. and it's going.
I think you're right. Yeah. This is what I kind of define as one of those hexagons. I say it quite a lot where, the players are all kind of increasing in skill level. The players all have this ability to them to just, stay up on the hexagons and very rarely fall. And that's not just in our competitive players, that's in just the regular everyday Joe as well. So all of these layers tend to just melt away. It's not like you saw in the first couple of seasons where the layers are just evaporating for everybody else except for the one skilled player in the lobby 5 layers up. It's starting to turn around a little bit now where all of the layers kind of disappear for everybody at the same time. But look at this right now. Everybody is starting to kind of congregate on this blue layer here. Who's going to be in the prime position right now? Nightwalker gets cornered and has no space left. Freshie makes a big jump over to a tile, but an NPC cuts him off. It's going to come down to the Team Slime survivors now, folks. Oh my goodness. This NPC is cracked, ladies and gentlemen, cutting off both. No, actually, basically all of our competitors. You can see Shud approaching from the one side and not able to make it in there, and the NPC is going to take the crown in our episode 3.
That was an extremely well played round by Freshie. I just want to point out, if you go back and watch his footage there, he's in the middle of the map. I advocate for this a lot because it gives you the most options. He's in the middle of the map. He's taking nothing for granted. He's not committing to anything. He's leaving himself plenty of exit strategies, and you could see him going through them one by one. He's like, can't go that way, it's cut off. Can't go that way, it's cut off. And then he finally picks one. He ends up dying anyway because that's Hexagon. Sometimes you play game theory optimally and you just lose. But at the end of the day, that was extremely well played by him. He took out a lot of the middle of the map, and he took out a lot of options from the other players. And then at the end, we had Rapid Winning Wolf getting cut off by by the Green Bean, the little stripy guy, and well played by the Green Bean. But that's pretty rough to take. That's pretty rough to take if you're Slime survivors. It's getting very dire now. You basically need 2 jump showdowns in a row.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There was an opportunity there waved in front of their face. Both of Positive Vibes went down in that hexagon, and it was just one NPC that had a little bit better of a vantage point. Could have been a really big play from Rapid Running Wolf, but he just wasn't able to get enough of runway to get over to that NPC. And yeah, dire straits now. 2 episodes remain with a gap that's more crowns than that. You need to kind of look at how to come back from the situation. It's got to be more than just the crowns. You have to eliminate Positive Vibes. You have to get them out if you're going to make a comeback right now.
Absolutely. And just a quick reminder of the rules and scoring. It is kudos based scoring, so that's what the scores are. It's a aggregate of all of the competitors, or each team's competitors kudos totals throughout all the rounds, accumulating to the last game. Most kudos is going to win. It's single elimination tournament, makes it a bit rough. We haven't seen any hackers or had any disconnects today, I don't think, or even yesterday, so that's pretty cool. But if we did see those, they would end up with an episode reset. Multi-crowns, this is an interesting one. Multi-crowns are honored with full kudos. A lot of points-based systems, if you get squad stuff, they're just like, no, it's a flat 5 points. If you win the round, you win. It doesn't matter how many people win. So multi-crowns being honored with the full kudos definitely swings certain finals to becoming to make them very overpowered, such as Jump Showdown. If you get 2 2-0s on a Jump Showdown right now, if you're Slime survivors, you could probably pull this one out of the hat. But yeah.
That's why I think I love the kudos format the most. If you stay true to the kudos and you allow those multi-crowns, no matter what the situation is, there's always a potential for the team that's trailing to come back or to set a precedent at the beginning and really take a dominating force as we've seen in the past. It's not insurmountable and really creates for some very competitive and edge-of-your-seat gameplay in Fall Guys.
I completely agree. As we see, just a 1 medal difference there. Nightwalker securing 1 more medal than Shud, and that's the kudos count. Excuse me, is still over 2,000. It's 2,070 now. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. You really are looking for a Jump Showdown round 4, Jump Showdown round 5. And at this point, I don't want to say races don't matter because obviously you don't want pink medals every time. But at this point, chipping away is only going to do so much in the last 2 games when you have an entire boulder to chip away in the span of about 20 minutes. So you're really hoping it's finals luck, or you play hyper aggressive and start dumpstering your competition and putting them in the dirt. But as we see, Whirly Gig here. Oh, Team Slime survivors matching screens. There we go. looking pretty nice. I think potentially Rapid Winning Wolf might have forgotten to take his off because Shud's on a delay, but looks pretty good so far. It's again, this race is not going to be very consequential, I don't think, unless somebody gets Velharded. But we know Rapid Winning Wolf's, learned his lesson on that one, so hopefully not.
Dangerous is in our game. I'm just kidding.
Nightwalker calling out, Dangers is in our game. There must be a blue wolf out on the field somewhere there, causing problems. Oh yeah, there I am.
Dangerous, get out of there, man. Come on.
The final boss of Fallapalooza 3 is me, ladies and gentlemen.
Just queue hard mode, dude. Just queue hard mode.
Oh, and there's a Dark Knight in the lobby too.
Ooh. Do we know the name? Potentially?
They're not turning their names on, so oh wait, Freshy's seeing it, but I can't read the names. They're too
I can't,
small.
yeah.
My
It
eyes
might
are
as well
terrible.
be Braille to me. I actually can't see it at all. But so what do you think is one of the coolest rare skins that's in Fall Guys right now? You like Magic Dragon, Golden Knight, Dark Knight, Pink Wizard? What do you think?
Oh
What's your
man.
favorite?
Well, I think the answer changes depending on like what the method of collecting it is, because if you're going by that metric, then I gotta say this Pink Wizard with the leaderboards, top 10 winning crown winners over the course of the week is probably one of the nicest things that they've incorporated into Fall Guys to kind of tip their hat to the competitive players, the ones who are the most dedicated to the game, putting the most time into the game. You love to see that. But at the same time, some of the other costumes I think just look better aesthetically. I'm a big proponent of the Cotton Candy Dragon. So
That's fair. Cotton Candy Dragon is a pretty cool one. That was one of the original ones where I was like, oh, wow. Like, I know it's just kind of a palette swap, but it does look really cool. It gives it a much different feel.
very iridescent. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Very, yeah, exactly. That was a big word. But, no, absolutely. It's definitely a really cool effect that it gives. I'm kind of a little biased, but I'm partial to the Gold Knight just because I love gold and purple. It's a great look. It also goes well with like 90% of the colors in the game. It's kind of insane. The Dark Knight looks insane with steel, I gotta say, but the Pink Wizard's pretty cool. Like I like the Wizard skin vanilla, right? So seeing the Pink Wizard's pretty nice.
Yeah,
So
fair
Tundra
enough.
Run. This is again, if your team slime survivors, you're like, come on, give us something, give us a DoorDash. At this point, you want to see the DoorDash, you want to see the gate crash, you want to see these ones where you can actually, they're wild cards. You can make something happen out of it, And Freshy gets the God Spawn there, right next to the Dark Knight privilege right there. Batman, the hero we all deserve. Oh, actually, but he's got Rapid Winning Wolf right next to him. So this is not free, but again, like it's just one of those things where if your team slime survivors, you're like, yeah, okay, of course they get the best spawn. Like, give us something Mediatonic, but they're saving it up for the finals. It's going to be a jump showdown.
Well, here is that something. Rapid Winning Wolf not getting conked in the face like Freshy does with a snowball. This is the variation that has my son underneath the map. Not going to be taking advantage of that. Unfortunately, none of the players really care about my son. I'm kind of sad, but that's fine. That's because Rapid Winning Wolf is on a tear right now. Freshy right behind, though, doesn't quite get up as fast as he probably wanted to. And now it's a standoff here. It's a race. Can Rapid Winning Wolf get ahead?
He did. I thought the Bonkus cycle was going to be a bit off, but he does snag first place. And Freshy's just resigning from the tournament. He's like, it's over. Just take first place. I don't want it.
Take the $1,000. It's
yes,
over.
it's all yours. You earned it. It was all on this Tundra run. Nightwalker's just standing there. Sometimes, oh man, he gets dunked on. Hang on, wait a minute.
This is kind of scary. What is going to happen here? Is he going to be able to qualify? It all comes down to the flippers and the timing. Okay, he makes it in. Ooh, that was very close.
Yeah, he's taking a sip after that one, cooling himself down. This astronaut maybe not trying his hardest at most. Maybe he got called away for dinner or something, but that's a spooky one. That's definitely scary. Of course, Nightwalker's a seasoned competitor, so he's looking at the qualifiers like, yeah, I got time. But for us here at home, you're like, ooh, baby, like that's close. That's closer than you want it.
And, if your team slime survivors, maybe you see that really close call and you hope that it puts a chip in their shoulder so that they're able to get some of the momentum back. But we're getting only race games right now, which is also something that if your team slime survivors, you got to take advantage of right now. Get those gold medals.
Yep, and at least with Wall Guys, you can do something here. This is very griefable. We saw in the previous set, I think it was Paleo do it to Trip, where he just knocked him off the second wall. Didn't end up making a difference, but if you can do that on the last wall, you never know. And you got a Dark Knight in the lobby. They're not always gamers, but usually most of them are gamers. So fingies crossed. You got to see what's. You got to take your chances, and you got to start. I think you got to start trying to really do something. And if I'm Freshy, I might just start spearing everybody in the kidneys right here, like all my opponents. Like, why not take them out, tilt them off the face of the planet, maybe take them out of the game. You know, the fewer players they have, it's also in Positive Vibes' best interest to start taking out players as well. Oh, we have a
Oh,
lock.
for sure. Yep, the standoff that we were talking about, the one that we saw in the tiptoes forming, nothing really comes of it though. They let go of each other and keep on moving through the stage. Shud gets a nice jump dive across to get into the red zone early, but Freshie gets the perfect line and lets Shud do the work for him to get up through the stage here, and he's gonna just go ahead and claim that gold medal, I think, for his team after
Yep,
a
and I'm
honk, of course.
I was letting
I think Shud actually also missed his jump as well. I don't think he realized there was an NPC down there who's already pushing the blocks. And then he missed his jump on top of it, so a little bit unfortunate there, but Nightwalker's already in his second place. We got 1-2 for those fellas. And I think 3-4 for Shud and Rapid Winning Wolf here. So, yep, I mean yeah, I think they needed to. Shud had a really nice pants on Rapid Winning Wolf to really put himself in a position to be in contention for that first place. Right after the lock, he managed to get him as Rapid Winning Wolf turned away. But yeah, I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity for Slime Survivors there. You kind of have to hope that you get out in front and really make it difficult on your opponent to qual.
I don't know if you caught it, but the Black Knight was they were in the race. Maybe they caught wind that they were in a Fallapalooza. They were like, nope, we want nothing to do with that, and backed right out of the lobby. So no more Dark Knight here. We're just going to be dealing with our opponents, our competitors, in this next round. And what's it going to be? 17. Probably going to be another small race game of some kind.
Freezy Peak. Block Party. Ooh, the plot thickens. Also, big shout out to the Black Knight there if they did indeed get word that they were in a tournament match and backing out. I feel like, you know, of course, there's no like Fall Guys police that's going to come around, but it's a very respectful thing to do. And as a player who is, you know, experienced, you don't want to be the reason that a tournament gets derailed. You're kind of an anti-sniper, and in a similar way that snipers are not the best people, anti-snipers are. That's very respectable, and we appreciate it very much as competitors and as I'm sure tournament organizers and viewers even.
Absolutely. Now, what are your predictions for this block party? We've seen some crazy stuff happen. We've seen some crazy desync take out entire teams on a block party. What can you do in a Slime Survivors to tilt it in your favor? Is there any griefs that you can manage that are actually effective in taking out your opponents?
So Essence has actually been working on something where instead of jumping over the little 2x4s, the little flat beams that come across the bottom, he dives over them, and he dives at an angle in front of everybody to try and take out people's legs as they jump. I'm sure he's got clips of him absolutely just destroying people with it, but that might be something you could do. You could try the regular, you know, pants like a jump showdown grief, but it doesn't really work on the beams at all. Nightwalker attempted a grief and missed it, and Shud's giving him the business with the emotes there. You love to see it, but now he's drawn the aggro of some NPCs. But yeah, I think that you can't really do the conventional grief on this where you just try and pants somebody. So I think you really need to go for maybe some joust or something like that.
See how it goes down. Obviously, more effective now that the bars are coming into play. It looks like everybody's just trying to survive, though, trying to stay alive. Team Slime Survivors, you got to get handsy. You got to figure out a way to eliminate your opponents here. Otherwise, things are, you know, you're going to run out of time.
Yeah. Yeah. If you let the kudos lead build up too much more, it's going to be literally insurmountable. I think about if you're about 2,500 kudos ahead, even if both of those players die first, even if Positive Vibes goes out first round in some crazy freak accident and you double crown it, that's not enough. So you have to really be thinking about it. So looks like everybody got through that. Hard ascending a block party. Freshie not willing to take the suicide grab there. So everybody's through. We did eliminate a big chunk of the lobby though. 11 people. This might be the finals. I think it is.
See a final. I think this is our round 5 for this episode, so it's very possible.
You realize if we win here, it's over.
What do we got? Thin ice. Here we go. Time it up. That's kind of what you're looking for. It's 11-person final. It's pretty hard to time out. You'd have to get pretty aggressive on the NPCs while also counting the aggression of Positive Vibes. Going to be pretty rough. I don't know how possible that is, but hey, who knows? Anything can happen in this last game. So let's see if Shud and Rapid Winning Wolf of Slime Survivors fame can pull this off.
Friendship, you can call it.
Didn't they call it
Let's
the
take a
kick
look
shift?
here. This is another thin ice that we've seen. Positive Vibes is home on the thin ice, I think. This is a match that, they've created some really good team strategies.
And just watching their execution of them is also, amazing. I'm a big advocate against splitting the map as a solo, and even as a duo, it's pretty risky because it still kind of comes down to a coin flip. But if you're both confident you can outplay your half of the map, then you sort of have a little bit more certainty when you're employing the strategy. So it doesn't look like they're consciously cutting the map in half. It looks like they're kind of just doing the classic NASCAR, maybe a little inchworming thrown in there, the spam dive all the way around, going for people's legs if they forgot their shin pads at home, just stuff like that. But it sort of just looks like a sort of typical round. It looks like Shud's trying to aggress here, maybe looking for a cheeky joust, get a knockdown or something like that. I think if you're Slime Survivors at some point, you want to win this game. You don't want to throw the game. So
Yeah.
maybe being over aggressive isn't your play. You want to stay spread out from each other so that you're covering more of the map. And you just got to hope that one of you can get the outplay.
And it's already coming down to just these tiny little platforms that got run out so quickly. What is going to be the play here? Freshie gets his head jumped on by the looks of it. Shud goes down. Nightwalker goes down. And oh my goodness, folks, look at this. It's an NPC going to be walking away with the crown in episode 4. So we had 4 crowns in the first 2 episodes and 0 crowns in the next 2.
We're averaging 1 crown a game. Seems pretty good on paper to me. And as we saw in the recently ported version of Mario 3D World, the Tanuki suit is still really OP. So that's kind of yeah, not me. But yeah, it's congratulations to that NPC. And now it's dire. It's dire. 2,000 kudos lead going into game number 5. It's going to take a minor miracle, but if Oliver is listening, he can make that happen, I'm sure.
Oliver is a man of miracles. 2,000 kudos. Let's hypothesize for a second.
Sure.
If you get both of the players of Positive Vibes out in the first round, they get 30 kudos apiece. And then you go on with gold medals, flying colors all the way through the episode, and double crown in episode 5.
Okay.
That might just be enough to come back and win.
That would be enough. If you have, especially if you get a 4 race or like a 3 race plus a Hoopsie Legends or something. If you do that and you double crown it and you get gold medal in every single race, I think that puts you at just over or just under 2,600 kudos, something like that. So you could do that. Or alternatively, you could get a 6-round game, which would also give it to you. So it's not impossible. But basically, what we're saying is if Positive Vibes makes it past round 1, which I know is a crazy task. I don't want to commentators curse them.
Don't want to make any bold predictions.
Yeah, exactly. But if they qualify past Night Fever, it's going to be pretty difficult for Slime Survivors to come back.
Yeah, the deficit is just too strong. That triple crown really, I think, set the precedent, with the 1 crown in the first episode and Rapid Winning Wolf going down early in that roll-off. They had to figure out a way to make sure that Positive Vibes didn't get any crowns, but they went ahead and got 2 instead. That was the deal breaker there. That really put them ahead and solidified any chances of, it being close. And now with no crowns in the next 2 episodes, it comes down to kudos. And the difference here, there's a little bit coming back on Team Slime Survivor's side. Actually, no, even across the board in round 4. So we're still looking at exactly the same deficit as we were before. 2,070 kudos. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one to come back if you're Team Slime Survivors.
That's definitely gonna be, if you're Slime Survivors, you're just like, give us a DoorDash. We're gonna try and get pink medals and just tap grab them the entire time. That's basically your game plan, I think. Or on Gate Crash, we're just gonna try and make it so that they can't get over the gaps. They can't do anything. That's the game plan. It's a scary one. It's not the best game plan, not the exact one you want to see here, but yeah, because even if Nightwalker and Freshie qualify the first round, they get over 100 kudos each, and that is basically doom for Shud and Rapid Winning Wolf. Let's maybe see if we can get the Slime Survivors mode back before they fixed it, and we'll get an 18-round game, and that'll make it a lot more interesting. But on the off chance we can't get that to happen in the next 2 or 3 seconds, and there it is. Looks like we are probably just going to be playing main show, I guess, and it's going to be pretty rough. But yeah.
Despite whatever the outcome may be, you can't discredit what it took for Team Slime Survivors to make it as far as they did, regardless of the fact they've made a name for themselves in competitive Fall Guys by coming in strong to Fallapalooza and downing some of these incredibly strong matchups to get to the place that they are right now. So even if they don't come away with the championship title today, and again, we're seeing DoorDash, so I mean, anything is possible. But you know, you got to give them some credit for as far as they got.
Absolutely. And I'm, you know, very proud of both of those guys. They've been grinding for a long time,
TVs
learning
aren't
and
that nice at Walmart.
absorbing as much as possible from whatever
when you
streams
get
they're
the
in,
flat
whoever they
screens,
watch, and
yeah.
they're trying their best. And I mean, look at
Maybe
the
LEDs.
effort. Look at the result their effort got, as we see not a lot of tap grabbing going on, but looking like everybody's just going to qual through right here. It is.
I just remembered something
it's
scary, dude.
It's impossible to overstate how incredible this run was from them. It very much was. I think
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
beginning
I just
saying in
remembered
chat
something
earlier
really
they
scary.
were kind of a Cinderella story, and I think in a lot of ways that is very true.
I might go back.
Nobody
to
would
the
have
Wolf,
nobody
to be
would have
honest,
predicted
dude.
this from day one. If you're telling me you had
I don't think
Team
we'll
Slime
make
Survivors
it,
in the
dude.
finals against
We'll
Positive
not
Vibes,
make it, man.
I'm gonna burn you at the stake for being a witch, basically. So it's honestly an incredible
Good
incredible
shit,
run through here,
Nightwalker.
and it looks
Good
like everybody
shit, Nightwalker.
quelled through.
Oh,
Good
yeah, but you
shit,
missed it.
Nightwalker.
Rapid winning Wolf
back
getting
to
eliminated
back.
in a DoorDash in the first round.
I have a confession to make. I have a confession
Uh-oh.
to make. I may or may not have said that I would get woo 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 tatted on my ass if we won Fallapalooza.
Well,
you
we're
said it on
sure
stream.
holding you to that one, folks. We hear it on the main feed. 700 people just heard you confirm that you will be getting
back-to-back Major Fall Guys tournaments?
tattooed on your
We
ass.
did it, baby. We did it.
Comic Sans are
did it.
bust.
We did
Comic
it.
Sans
You,
are bust.
Chat, clip it so
A
we can't delete the
boxer pigeon
VOD.
bean
Somebody's got to do
tattoo.
that.
I could do like the.
But yeah, that's
could
pretty
do-
incredible. That's
I could
something
do
right
like
there.
the-
I hope that's not an
replicate
expensive tattoo
the
for his
picture
sake.
of Ollie.
But big congrats.
With the
I
pigeon
mean,
boxer.
it's over now essentially.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm with it.
let's hope
Hold
let's
it.
hope Shud can at least finish strong here. It'd be nice to see
Dude,
that.
let's fucking go, dude.
Nice to
Let's
see him
go.
pull one off for
Let's
his
close it
team.
out.
Unfortunate
Let's
for
close it
Rapid
out.
winning Wolf, and there's DoorDash, right? We were hoping for DoorDash, and
Man.
look what
close it
happens.
out.
It goes the other way, but. I mean, GG's to all the competitors. This tournament, the Fallapalooza, I think I speak for everybody on behalf of the competitive scene Dangers when we say that we really appreciate this event. It's amazing. It's the premier 2v2 Fall Guys event. You get all the incredible competitors here. It's a total blast. And, no, it doesn't matter if you're out early or you're out late. It's always fun to watch and tune in. And we always get together in calls and stuff and watch it. And it's such a fun time. Oh, Freshie, come on, dude. Give him a break. man.
Nasty.
Oh, that's just mean, dude. I mean, it is what it is, but either way, here we go. So, yeah, it's an amazing event, Danger. So thank you for putting it on.
Hey, and Spark, in whatever capacity that you're able to participate, it's always a pleasure having you and the rest of the Fall Guys community show up for these events and choose to support them, choose to sponsor them, choose to do whatever it is that you do to make them happen in the first place. As in terms of the competitive
Josie, thank you for the
scene,
tier 1 sub.
the signups just
I may
continue
have
to come
waited
in
for
in
this
greater
longer
numbers. We had over 50 teams
to sign
sign
up
up
for
for
the
this
fresh
upcoming
green.
Fallapalooza, meaning
They
that
gave it to
it's
him.
only going uphill from here. So it's been great to see that the support of the events and the support of the Fall Guys community continues to grow, despite however many people may say that it's not the trendiest game in the world anymore. We still got a community that loves this game for what it is, and a good competitive scene that supports everybody regardless of who wins.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a little bit of spam in chat. Might be the best one of the
Josie, thank you
tournament.
for-
Spam this woo-woo for
Josie, thank you
Freshie's
for the tier 1
tattoo.
gifted sub.
Amazing.
Holy
Perfect.
shit,
I love that
Brandon,
for
thank
him.
you for the 1500
But
bits.
the tournament has been great, and I think it's a nice reflection of just the passion that everybody has for this little game that we love to play, and I think that's very indicative of a nice, solid grassroots foundation scene, and I think it's something that's
To really
very
support
beautiful, and I'm
Cubs,
very happy to be a
man.
part of
Like,
it.
The Fall Guys community is honestly getting absolutely insane. Go back, thank you for the 500 bits.
You can
man.
hear it from Nightwalker there. They're obviously celebrating their victory a little bit early. We're kind of just running through the motions
Thank
of
you
this
so much,
final
Scott, man.
episode
Everybody-
here.
Oh my God, man. Thank you so much.
Nightwalker is, obviously giving credit to the community itself and how it just
Kills
keeps
for
on
saying the five
growing.
gifted, dude.
Much
Holy, you guys are
credit to
popping
everybody
off
who
right
watches
now.
and sticks around these tournaments and wants to support the events through your
so.
interest as well. That's a big, huge part of it. Don't be
Ads, thank you for the
afraid to
follow,
get
appreciate it.
involved in these communities as well.
Look, thank you for another 500 bits, dude. Another
A lot of
sub
these
for
humble
us, dude. Thank
beginnings
you.
for some of these players has started from just being a stream visitor,
Thank you,
coming
man. I
into some
appreciate
of
it.
these streamers communities and getting into the same lobbies as them and just kind of like playing to win friendly. You know, there's a lot of toxicity when you bring up the word stream snipers, but when it comes to Fall Guys, you get a couple people who realize the community element of it instead. Be that person. Be one of the friendly visitors. That's where Team Slime Survivors came from originally, and look at where it's brought them now. They're getting recognition. They're getting a pretty handy cash prize of their own for making it to the finals of Fallapalooza. There's so much positivity in this community. Be a part of that.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely want to be contributing to that side of it. And yeah, you know, big shout outs to Slime Survivors, of course. I've known both these guys for some time, and they are spectacular competitors, great players, and grand finalists of FallapaTWOza. Not a bad little accolade to stick in your hat for one of the first big tournaments you've ever competed in, as far as I'm aware. So, big shout out to them. But of course, positive vibes. The back-to-back champions. Somebody's going to have to do something. Maybe, you know, start, you know, DDoSing Nightwalker's computer or something like that. The man's just on fire. Him and Freshy both, of course, and of course Indo and oh boy, that's awkward. Oh, who's their fourth? Oh God, no. What have I done? It's usually Corey, right?
Corey,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's right.
Happy birthday, dude. It was his birthday recently. Got some games in with him, but yeah, those four guys are absolutely incredible players, and it's nice to see them get the success. They've been in the scene for so long, so it really is amazing to see.
Honestly, yeah, what an incredible story. We're talking about Team Slime Survivors kind of making an upcoming name for themselves, but the thing being that Positive Vibes, you know, has earned this win, I think. Not just the Bean Brawl win, but back-to-back tournament wins with a Fallapalooza crown under their belt is a huge testament. It's like they've been in every Fall Guys tournament, major Fall Guys tournament since the beginning of the game, and now it's finally starting to pay dividends for them. They're on top of their game, they're on fire, and I hope that they bring this heat to whatever events they may enter in the future.
Absolutely. I'm terrified to go up against these guys in Trip 9. That's all I'm going to say. And we see gold medal for Shud. There you go. That's a little consolation prize there as we roll into round 4 of this game 5. 18 people, probably going to be a team game. I think I'd like to just see a fall ball here, right? Just get, of course, Naders. How much you want to bet this one times out? Just to really drag Shud through the mud, so to speak.
Yeah.
have to have him sit here while watching yellow team get bullied yet again. That's going to be unfortunate, but hopefully we can get like a nice little final. I think it'd be really nice. Obviously, they don't have to do it. We're all competitors here, but it'd be nice if they gave him the win on the last one, just because it doesn't mean anything, you know? A little Freshy giving Nightwalker a little hug.
Who knows, you know? Let's see how this plays out. You know, if Shud wants to put on a good show, he can still walk away with this crown. Say, how do you do? Again, making a name for yourself the first time you're appearing in a Fall Guys tournament. If you can walk out even without winning the crown itself, maybe winning the last crown of the day, just to put the icing on the cake for you.
Exactly, and I think everybody knows that these guys are here to play, and definitely not somebody you can really just look past in the bracket anymore. Your eyes glazing over when you see the team name. These are FallapaTWOza grand finalists, so I think it's a really incredible journey for them, and I hope that they can parlay this into future competitions and continually improving and stuff like that, because clearly they've got the mindset for it.
For sure. And let's speak about Fall Guys competitions just in general. So you obviously here watching Fallapalooza, enjoying the spectating of Fallapalooza here, the $2,000 Duos Prize tournament here. But it's not the only one that happens. And in fact, March is going to be a splendid month for Fall Guys competitions. In just a few short days, probably about 5 days, we have the Trip series continuing with, I think, Trip 10 coming up as a Duos tournament. Some of the top players are going to be facing off in that. I think 32 teams as well. So another stacked tournament of duos here. Trip 9, I'm getting word from the chat, and I think it's 16. You know, my memory is poor, but the tournaments are, you know, they're all grassroots too. That's the thing. A lot of these community members are hosting their own tournaments and keeping the scene alive in all of these different ways. So if you can't get into Fallapalooza, there are all of these other tournaments that you can be participating in to kind of get your feet wet. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid is the main thing. You got Trip coming up. The week after is going to be another Bean Brawl, March 12th and 13th, or sorry, 13th and 14th. The weekend after that, Fallaceuum, a brand new one hosted by Chloe, going to be coming at you right after that. And then, of course, Fallapalooza happening again at the end of March. I can guarantee for you that it's going to be the last weekend of March that you're going to be seeing Fallapalooza 4 coming, folks. The first one of Season 4.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see what Season 4 has in store for us. But yes, all these tournaments coming up. Everybody's everybody's planning and really running their own tournaments, and it's just so exciting. I think more people should try their hand at it. It is quite a bit of work, and it is as somebody who's run precisely one tournament before, it is quite a bit of work, but it ends up being worth it because you put on a good show, you build an audience for the game. Everybody likes to watch competitors play and see people play this game at a high level. As we go in for the thin ice final here, are they going to dunk on Shud way harder than they should, or are they going to just play it out normally, give him the win, maybe even? Will be pretty nice. Shud's running like, please hold me. This has been a hell of a day, man. I need a hug.
Yeah.
You love to see him running around with his arms out like that. Like, please, somebody hug me. I need it.
Let's see how this thin ice plays out. Yeah, he knows his fate. He knows that second place is in the bag for him. There's no chance for him to really survive, so he's just looking for a little emotional support, maybe.
Exactly, and who could blame him? I mean, it's always rough losing, but you got to come away from this with a positive feeling. I think in the pit of your stomach that you took on some of the best players that have ever played the game, and you managed to come out on top in a tournament setting. It's pretty huge. It's so much more rewarding a victory than sniping somebody who doesn't know you're there and then just taking them out in the final. Sneak attack. Nightwalker's down. I think he was kind of just trolling around there, maybe doing his Kangaroo Jack impression and got ragdolled into the slime there, but we'll see what happens here.
Not really sure what happened, but yeah, he's in the slime. So it's just going to be Shud versus Freshie to take home the last crown of Fallapalooza. Look at that, the little sidestep from Shud to get out the Rat King. I would love to see the crown. Just give him the crown,
Just give him the crown, How many more do you need, man? He just wants a hug, dude. He just wants a hug. That's all he wants.
Yeah, a little bit of love happening here between the two competitors, Oh, you can hear Nightwalkers talking about getting the wins again. It's possible that Freshie's on an island all on their own. Shud jumps into the slime, putting some icing on the cake for the positive vibes. Freshie closing it out with a crown. 5 episodes, 5 crowns. 4 of them going in the direction of positive vibes.
GG's again to positive vibes. Congrats. Big win from Freshie there at the end, really putting his stamp on the tournament, having played extremely well the whole weekend long. And of course, GG's to the Slime Survivors as well for getting farther than a lot of people gave them credit for. We're very proud of them, and hopefully we'll see them around the future.
These Fall Guys tournaments always end up this way. I always go in with an expectation of like, yeah, these are the teams that we're going to see make it to the next day. Expectations always shattered. The grand champions have a lot to prove, so they're going to come back in and they're going to be strong, get eliminated first day. It's just the round 2 curse,
Yeah, exactly, right? I think it's like all three teams who have ever won Fallapalooza have been eliminated by second round. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Even second place, even the runner-ups have also suffered the same curse. Of course, the first Fallapalooza into the second, the runner-ups didn't continue to participate, but that's besides the point. Z-Gas didn't make it into the second day in Fallapalooza 3. Just wild stuff. And I think that goes to the testament of what this game is all about. There's enough competitive players at this level that anybody could come out on top.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's really good for the scene. As much as, it's nice to cheer for somebody who gets consistent results, I think that it encourages at the end of the day people to throw their hat in the ring and say like, yeah, I could hang with these people on any given day. And I think it's really awesome. I think it's cool to see, and I love seeing new faces in the final every time.
Absolutely, me too. Because again, it inspires people from the spectating perspective, or it inspires people who maybe are just joining casually into these lobbies on the day-to-day basis to throw their hat in the ring. You're absolutely right. Give it a try. Enter some of these tournaments. Make a name for yourself. Try it out. You never know what could happen. We got the final scores rolling in your way, folks.
That's a big stomp. 3,320 kudos. That is, that's a pretty lopsided affair. Unfortunate Rapid winning Wolf. He started the tournament this way. He ended the tournament this way, getting out in the first round. It's unfortunate to see, but at this time, unfortunately, Shud wasn't able to bail him out. But both those guys played incredibly well all weekend and have a lot to be proud of. And then on the other side, Nightwalker and Freshie, sort of the picture of consistency here. Freshie, of course, MVP of the finals, in my opinion. 1245s across the board in 3 out of 5 games. Pretty incredible. 510 kudos going around. But, I mean, look at Nightwalker. Again, 510, 475. Those are big kudos scores. Those are big. If the rounds had been closer, that could have very well been the difference, that consistency across the races. So, absolutely incredible performance from Positive Vibes and a well-earned tournament victory. And enjoy that G, brothers.
Enjoy that, G. Splitting between the two of each of them, $500 they walk away with as the Fallapalooza champions, and we're talking about their story. And I cannot believe, you know, just the insane amount of momentum that these guys have all of a sudden, crushing it in the Bean Brawl and just dominating their way through to the Fallapalooza. That they're 2 for 2 in tournaments in February, which is just wild to see, and we can only imagine what that's going to look like moving forward here.
Absolutely. And we got Nightwalker, Father of the Year, one of the most kind-hearted people you're ever going to meet. You got Freshie, the absolute stone cold killer, just absolutely icing everybody on thin ice and really taking no prisoners. And it's interesting to see those play styles mesh with each other and those personalities mesh with each other. But, you know, huge congratulations to them. Phenomenally played by both.
That's right. And we're going to pull in our grand champions for Fallapalooza 3 in for an interview. Team Positive Vibes coming out on top. Nightwalker, Freshie, how's it going, folks? How are you feeling right now?
Feeling great, dude. How are you?
Yeah. Holy.
I think that goes without saying, but goodness gracious, you guys came to play not just today, but all through Fallapalooza. I have to ask, like, do you think that the Bean Brawl win sparked some of this just drive? Like, there's a fire that you are just you're blazing through and creating such dominating performances in this tournament today and yesterday. Tell me how it feels. Like, where is this energy coming from to be able to do this?
Take it away, Pops.
Yeah, I think the Bean Brawl definitely took a lot of weight off our shoulders. I mean, everybody knows that we've been, you know, competing, I guess, since, you know, the chase for the crowns and, you know, things like that. And, you know, we have tournament experience in other tournaments. And I think the Bean Brawl really just kind of got us over that hump, and it gave us that extra, it gave us that, you know, reassurance that, you know, we are here, we belong, we can compete with anybody on any stage. And so we went into this weekend, you know, extremely confident, because it's funny because I feel like we still won that tournament, but, you know, people looked at this bracket and in no way, shape, or form did I think we got picked to win. But
hell no.
But to play with, you know, Freshie and be able to pick out of my team, you know, the squad team, and just carry that over into a duos tournament. Yeah, we had all the confidence in the world. So I would attribute that to Bean Brawl, getting us over the hump and just giving us that extra confidence for sure.
I feel like it also put some expectations to us as a team. Like, come off a major tourney, what are these boys going to do again? Are they going to be able to fulfill what they did last time? And I think when we got to day 2, after winning last night, I think at least for me, the true pressure was off my shoulders to do well.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that going into day 2 is sort of where it felt like, because that's really where, I mean, we have limited access to your comms, of course, but we do hear from time to time, and you guys were grooving. Like, there was no tension, there was no sort of like stress, or there was no uptightness. You guys felt really, really relaxed and in the groove. And was that real, or was that sort of just put on for the camera, or was that just sort of how you guys were feeling?
That's 100% real. I think, I mean, the funny thing about, you know, us is you're gonna see real emotion, whether it be good or bad. You've seen both today. You know, when we went through that frustrating situation with the stream sniper, and being
Apologies
targeted,
again.
you know, that was real emotion. But, you know, us vibing together, that's real as well. Like, we don't hide anything. We are who we are in front of everybody. And, you know, we get along really well. And, you know, I mentioned that, you know, in the, you know, last interview that we did, is the fact that we keep in tune outside of Fall Guys allows us to just have that extra chemistry, you know, on the game. And so, yeah, he's right. You know, going into the finals, we said, I don't know if you all heard me say it, but I said, we have an advantage. We were here last week, so we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point. Yeah,
So,
the team that you went up against is a relative newcomer in Fall Guys tournament settings. Like, the Slime Survivors, also, to their own credit, were probably not the team to be picked on the top half of the bracket to make it all the way to the grand finals, and yet there they were as well. What is your opinion of having a team in the finals that, you know, for all intents and purposes, kind of comes out of nowhere? What do you think that says about the competitive scene in Fall Guys as a whole?
Anything can happen.
yeah.
Anything can happen.
It speaks volumes to the community. it speaks volumes to what Fall Guys is doing and the boom that it's currently happening. You know, the people that are finally getting their feet, you know, in the water and finally testing the waters, and are, you know, getting in these tournaments and being able to make a name for themselves. You know, Shud and, you know, Rapid Running Wolf. I mean, they killed it. They upset some huge teams in this tournament. So, you know,
It ain't easy to get there, dude. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter
Yeah,
who you
exactly.
are. It ain't easy to get there.
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean, it just tells you that this tournament's getting tougher and tougher every time we play it, and every tournament that you go into is getting tougher and tougher. There are no easy games, and you have to understand that going in. You can be beat in round one, and you know you can win that day. It's just it's in the air.
Fall Guys competition continues to grow, and we see it in the signups. We see it not just in the numbers of signups, but in the diversity of the signups as well. Every single Fallapalooza that we've had, the signups have continued to grow and grow and grow. The amount of spots that we have available is taken up in less and less time. We can imagine that that's going to happen again for Fallapalooza 4. So, I mean, I got a question for you then. Will you, Nightwalker and Freshie, be back in Fallapalooza 4 to defend your championship?
Without a doubt, we will try to break the curse that is the second round and
Yeah.
out after
Oh,
winning
boy.
Fallapalooza. We talked about this last night, and you know, the previous winners that come back to defend their title, it's a little bit of a curse. So we got to break that. We got to try to break that curse. We'll definitely be here.
Even just making the second day can be a little bit of a curse. Like finally, now that we're getting to Fallapalooza 3 and we've had 2 events behind us, we were finally seeing some repeat faces. Team M&M is the only team that's ever made it to the second day consistently across all the events. All new faces aside from that usually. So that also I think is a testament to just how diverse the Fall Guys community is in its competition. And I do wish you the absolute best of luck making it to the second day, or even beyond that, if you are to defend your title, because it's not an easy task.
Yeah.
Do we
I
have to
mean,
go through registration again?
We'll talk about that off stream.
Okay, thank you.
We'll make it easy for you. Yeah, you don't.
Because we barely got in here, my dude.
Oh, Team 32. If you're in the Discord, Positive Vibes
Yes.
Team 32, they literally just squeaked in to win the championship today, folks. So
That's actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that until you just said that. That's crazy.
now, again, it's not to the discredit of the grand champions of the past. Like, it's not that they're playing any worse. It's just round 2 curse. You got to break the curse. I wish you guys the best of luck. Now, finishing up this interview, I just got one more question for you.
Oh Lord.
Who's going to be streaming still?
Give it tonight.
Team
Yeah,
player right
yeah.
Give
there.
it tonight.
I mean-
You give it to me, I'm never talking to you again.
Well, that makes it easy.
That makes it real easy. I don't. Yeah.
You definitely give it tonight.
I don't want to make enemies today, so I guess I know where it's going. But honestly, guys, I was, the commentary booth aside, I was kind of rooting for this to happen. I think that Nightwalker, you and Positive Vibes in general, kind of encapsulate what is good and positive about the Fall Guys community. Besides just the name, besides just calling yourself Positive Vibes, you are kind of a pillar in the Fall Guys community, as trying to uphold the values of what makes this such a wholesome and also like just very long-lasting, benefiting community to be a part of. So to see you guys win today, it warms my heart. So congratulations, seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, dude.
Thank you
Seriously.
so much.
Anytime, really, anytime. Thank you guys for being a part of this. It means a lot. So we're gonna let you go. You guys go ahead and get your celebration preparations. Do whatever it is that you need to do. We might be making a little surprise visit, not so surprise visit, in just a few moments. But again, congratulations. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, dude. Appreciate you guys.
Congrats, fellas.
Thank you.
And what an honor. So that's it. Fallapalooza 3 is in the books. Spark City, thank you so much for joining me on the commentary for the finals. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hey, likewise, sir. Thank you very much, Dangerous, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Shout out to the other 3 commentators. We had Neon before me. We had Kate previous night, and of course, Chloe. Big inning yesterday. All phenomenal commentators. It's big shoes to fill for me, but thanks for having me on here. I appreciate you.
All of those people that you just mentioned are pillars in their own right to the Fall Guys community, whether they're trying to get into casting for these events or hosting these events themselves, or just being positive influences in the community in Kate's case, and making a good name for the scene and the community and what we stand for. That's why we have them on for these commentary roles, because I mean, it's a big pool to pick from, honestly. There's so much good to go around. Now, Spark City, you obviously just missed the signups. It's probably the reason that I invited you into the booth is because you weren't able to participate in this one. But we do have kind of a long-standing tradition with these events that if you miss the signups, you still sign up anyway. You get a backup slot. You get 24 hours advance notice to get signed up for the next one. So are you ready for the next one? Are you going to be putting on your big boy pants and coming home with a crown in Fallapalooza 4?
Oh, easy. Gonna farm
Yeah.
these kids. Come on. I'm just kidding. No, it's gonna be. I mean, you saw it today. It's always gonna be a rough road, but yeah, of course, Stu and I are definitely gonna be back.
I'm excited to see it. I cannot wait. And, you know, big shout outs, big thank you to everybody who participated in this, big or small. All the viewers who came to watch Fallapalooza, you know, the numbers stay consistent. You guys are here to see the events and support the events, whether it be with financial, you know, sponsoring the community or otherwise. It means a lot to keep these events running. There's obviously a really strong backing from the competitive side. We keep seeing more and more signups. So thank you to the community for allowing Fallapalooza to continue the way that it does. Shout outs to the moderators, the production crew, everybody who works behind the scenes to make Fallapalooza look the way that it does, and also the chat running the way that it does, keeping things in line and just, you know, making this event as exciting and entertaining as it can be. Special credit to Dan Ovlak for all of the visuals that you see on the stream, all the transitions, all of the artwork. Everything is Dan's masterpiece. He's a legend. He's a gift. We don't deserve him. Shoutouts to him. Shoutouts to Richard and C Average doing the restreaming in the back as well. Those guys, without those guys, you know, it doesn't run as smoothly as you see it as well. All the transitions and stuff, that's all them. I would not be able to do that by myself. So thank goodness I have a team behind me to make production happen. Spam this shoe for the production crew if you can. Honestly, that's it. I think that's all I really have to say. But, you know, Fallapalooza 4, end of March, going to be hitting you again with another Fallapalooza event. This time, the first one of Season 4. Lots of new stuff coming. It's going to be super exciting. We don't know what to expect, and that'll just make it all the better. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night.